Today we're going to work through one chart and go through all the steps so you can see what needs to be done to do preparation work to understanding the chart.
那么今天呢，我们会通过一个星盘的案例，然后呢，去通过30个步骤，一步一步的让大家去了解在，进行咨询之前，解读一个星盘之前，你需要做哪些准备工作，把它背下来，而是你需要去感受，去通过自己去，跟星盘的每一个层面、每一个层级去发生感应，然后去把他们的这一些细节、这些碎片都交织在一起，去把这一个人的迷思给编织出来。
At advanced levels, when you see when things get hit by transits, when things get hit by progressions, then you go back into the matrix and you know how to go in deeper.
那么，当我们进阶的当我们占星学到进阶的时候，我们就会学到推运。推运的时候呢，行星和推运我们都会发现，行星会触动我们本命盘的行星。那么，当那个时候呢，我们就需要再走到这个复杂的这个本命盘中，去把这个人的迷思调出来，去把这个人的能量调出来。
So if you can't do that, if you see a transit, oh, there's a transit is fine, well, that means this. You haven't gone in to see what that means for that person, how they're going to process it, what it's in their value of their life.
那么，如果你只是单纯的去看行运或推进的话呢，你可能会忽略掉这个人的本质，去忽略掉说这个人会对这些情况他会做什么，他需要的是什么，他会对这个情况做出如何反应。
My advantage is I've been teaching for 40 years, and I've taught 100, 150 beginners classes, 10, 13-week classes. So I've always gone over my basics, always gone over my foundations again and again and again. It's never boring.
那么对我来说，我的优势呢，因为我已经教学40多年了，所以我也教导过很多像类似这样的这个大的这个课堂。然后呢，我也是经常去花3个月的时间呢去教授这些基础。所以呢，对我来说，我是重复的去学习和教学这些基础。对我来说，这些基础从来没有让我觉得枯燥和无聊。
And it's not like I know everything or I remember everything every time. You don't. You just reconstruct it, you go through the steps, rebuild it, and you get to know each person.
并不是说我把占星学里面所有的都强记忆背下来，而是呢每一次我都要重新的组词，重新的去排列的组合，重新的去理解这个人。
So some of the steps, some of the things like pattern types for the moon phases, you may not have run across material on.
那么有一些步骤呢，比如说我们会涉及到月相，或者是涉及到这个星盘的形制。那么这个呢，可能大家之前可能没有学习过。
And I'm not going to go over each option today for the class. So they're in the classes. When you download the classes, all this material is there.
那么我之前跟大家讲过的，就是奖学金里面呢也有这些内容的详细的教学，大家也可以去学。
So just in passing, this is my horoscope.
那么这是我的星盘。
And my birthday is October 17th.
我的生日是10月17日。
1946.
1946年。
2 a.m.
2点钟，凌晨2点钟。
In Montreal.
在蒙特利尔。
In Canada.
加拿大。
Okay, so if you want to look at madness, you can look at it.
如果你想看一个疯子的星盘，就看我这个星盘吧。
So this is now probably Chloe, we're going to have to get you stand in front the other way because this is the chart that we're going to work on today.
小明，小明，能不能把那个
We need to see the screen and the chart at the same time. So this is usually you print out the computer, you get the chart off the computer.
那么这是用一个软件把这个星图制作出来的样子。
This form is called a Eurowheel form.
那么这是叫 Eurowheel 的一个形式，一个软件打印出来的。
You might be used to more the American form where they just put the houses exactly in, and then write the signs around it and the planets around it.
可能大家习惯看到的是这个美国通用的那个制作星盘的软件，他们就是宫位，然后就是和这个星座是一致的。
But one of the reason I like this chart is that when you calculate aspects, you calculate by degrees.
那么我喜欢这个方式的这个软件的原因呢，是因为我们去计算那个容许度的去计算度数的时候呢，我们需要看度数，相位的时候要看度数。
The planets move through the degrees. So when you see, I'm just looking for the marker, the highlighter.
那么行星呢是会去按照它一度一度的去移动的。我问老师，那个要一个激光笔，等一下。激光笔。
Wait, I have it. It's okay. Chloe?
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Okay.
So you'll see, well here you can see the houses are different sizes.
那么这里你们可以看到说，宫位呢是大小是不同的。
This house is about 25 degrees. This house is 35 degrees.
那么刚刚那个宫位是20几度，那么下一边这个宫位呢就是30几度。
Everything's different sizes.
每一个宫位的这个大小都是不同的。
So there's no such thing as everybody's equal.
那么也就是说，没有人是完全一样的。
These little sizes make a difference because when you're watching the transits move through the degrees, they move through the houses at different speeds at different amounts of time.
那么这些大小宫位的大小是有含义的，是有意义的。也就是说，当行运的一个行星来到的时候，他们在这个宫位待的时间是不一样的，他们行进的速度是不一样的，所以你会经历的这个行运的时间周期也是不一样的。
So that's a very useful thing when you look at seeing the degree. If you use the other house chart, you're imagining the degrees and it's never exactly where it is.
那么这是非常有用的一个方法。如果是用等宫制或者其他的这个形制的话呢，可能你会去想象说这个宫位的是多少大。
So I like personally to see the visual chart, look at a chart. If I know a planet's in a degree, I can see that degree, I can see the opposite degree, I can see the square degree, and it's a square. You can see it exactly like that. If you use the other house, sometimes a square looks like a triangle. It doesn't. You have to do it in your mind, not by what you see.
那么我喜欢用这个方式，因为我喜欢用直接视觉化的，也就是说，当它有一个度数的时候，它的这个显示的这个画面的度数也是可以相应的。而其他的宫位置可能你如果是一个四分相，它可能看上去根本不像四分相。
So, oops. So this is an aspectarian. A lot of times you just get this one with the aspects marked in.
那么这是一个相位表。
But when you get that, you don't see the degree, the exact amount, how much is separating, how far they are. It's nice to be able. You don't need it all the time, but when you want to know, it's nice to see. Oh, that's 79 degrees. That's 81 degrees. That's only 1 degree away from an aspect. Maybe we can include that. It lets you make decisions as you go.
那么通常大家会看到下面那个三角形，上面那个倒三角形呢，一般的相位表是不会列出来的。它告诉你这个两颗行星之间的相位的容许度是多少，也就是说，它们差几度成为一个相位。
So I've touched up the chart. I just in Photoshop made it a little darker so it's easier to see.
那么这是我自己用这个 Photoshop 把这个星盘给重新的绘画了一下，让我看得更清楚一点。
One of the basic concepts, if there's a major thing in your life, it's a major factor in your horoscope.
那么有一个非常重要的观点，就是如果说你星盘中有一个非常重要的这个元素或者重要的这个主题的话，那么它在你生命中就是非常重要的一个篇章，非常重要的一个能量。
until you've done maybe 4,000 or 5,000 horoscopes, you don't need to go to all the minor aspects.
那么，直到你就是解读过，或者是学习过或者了解过400到500个星盘之后呢，你不需要去解读或者关心这些小的相位或者小的元素和因素。
If you meet someone, it's enough to see if they're smiling, if they're happy, that is who they are. You don't have to count freckles.
如果你认识一个人，对你来说，你看到他微笑，你了解他是谁，然后你和他相处是非常重要的，你不需要去了解那些细节。
So it's easy to get lost in so much information. It's easy to teach astrology. There's so much information. It's so impressive. Everybody goes, oh wow, but then you get lost.
那么对于学习占星学来说，有一个误区就是你会迷失在一个信息的海洋，有那么多的信息，你一下子会迷失，你不知道该去看什么，而你也不知道该去抓住什么。
Music's the same way. There's so many notes, so many complicated ways, and yet there's an old blues musician, an old black guy from the States. It was very famous. This 150 years ago, he's walking around playing, but he had a saying: if you use more than 3 chords in a song, you're showing off.
那么就像音乐一样的，音乐有那么多的音符，有那么多的调子，有那么多的方法可以去演奏。但是就像那个就像那个以前的有一个美国非常有名的布鲁斯演奏家，一个黑人，他说，如果你仅懂得去使用3个音符的话，你也可以去演奏。
So if you're trying to explain everything about a horoscope to someone, oh, this is here, this is here, this is here, you're not doing astrology.
如果你试图把这个星盘上所有的信息都一一列举去告诉对方的话，那么你并不是在解读星盘。
You have to sift out how much somebody needs to know. You know, that's not important. That's not important. We'll talk about. We only got an hour. We'll talk about these things.
那么你需要知道说这个人不需要知道的是什么，什么对这个人是关键的，他真正的这个能量是什么。
When you get used to doing that, it gets simple. It gets easier. There's still maybe an hour or two at the beginning. Couple of hours to do your preparation work before you see someone on the chart.
那么，当你习惯这么做的时候呢，你就会开始变得轻松，你开始知道怎么真正的应用占星学。当然，每一次在做解读星盘之前，你还是需要花1到2个小时进行非常详细细致的准备。
So again, you remember, it's not just one line. It's all these levels.
那么我希望大家了解或者记住，星盘并不是一个平面，星盘并不是平的，它有非常多的纬度，非常多的层级，它是非常丰富的。
Each member of a family may be in the same house, but they have their own rooms. They have their own beds. If you go into someone's house and you go into the wrong room or the wrong bed and move things, that's a big disturbance.
那么，如果不同的几个人住在家里，如果他们睡在不同的床上，或者是错误的进了错误的房间，那么可能你就会去骚扰这个家庭。
So I have a 30-step process what to go through.
那么对于解盘来说，我有一个30步的步骤，你需要去做详细的准备。
The first 3, you almost don't need to know the time of birth. If you don't know the time of birth, and you look at the chart, you still see the planets. You see the pattern type, and you see the moon phase.
那么，如果你不知道这个人的详细的出生时间的时候呢，你还是知道这个人的月相是什么，你还是知道这个人的行星是什么，还知道行星的星座在哪里，同时你也知道这个星盘的形制是什么样的。
If you don't have a time of birth, and you take away the houses, where's your drawing? If you're just using the house chart, it's all over the place. But if you're using the signs and put the planets in the signs, you still have the planets in the signs, you still see the aspects, you still see a lot of information.
那么，当我们并不知道他出生时间的时候，如果没有把这个宫位算进来的话呢，我们还是知道这个行星在哪一个星座，行星落在哪里，然后每个行星之间它们产生的相位是什么，所以这还是给到我们非常丰富的信息。
I would rather work with the information. All the information I know that's right. And all the ones that might be at the time isn't right, they're secondary considerations.
那么我需要工作的这个信息是必须基于完全正确、真实的、正确的，我认为是无法挑剔的信息。那么如果某些信息它是可能有存在这个误差的，我会把它放在第2个重要进行考虑。
Okay, so the pattern type. Yeah, so on this chart, on the example, it has all the aspects to the midheaven, the aspects to the ascendant. So there's a lot of aspects based on the time in this chart. This is a simpler one. This is just between the planets.
那么就是看这2张星盘啊。那么这个例子上的这张星盘呢，它这个星盘有很多相位是和中天和上升点发生相位的。那么这张星盘的这些相位呢是需要基于精准的出生时间的。那么在这个投影仪上面的这个星盘呢，它的那个时间是不基于时间的，因为它们的相位都发生在行星之间。
So when you're looking at a pattern type, if you buy the books about pattern types, they show them in the houses, and it's just many houses, but it's better to do it through the signs, and you see it more exactly.
那么，当我们去学习星盘的一个整体的形制的时候，那么通常呢，它就会是落于宫位的。但是我认为是大家可以去，就是如果时间不准确的话，可以忽略宫位去看这个星盘的这个形制。
So if the first pattern type is if all the planets are inside one trine and everything in the chart is there, it would be called a bundle.
第一个星盘的形制，如果是所有的这些行星都是在一个3分相之内的，也就是在这个3分相之内的，它会叫一个 bundle 的形制，好像捆绑的意思。
A bundle has no oppositions, only conjunctions.
那么
and sextiles and one trine.
那么它这个形制的话呢，它没有一些就是说对分相之类的，它只有这个3分相，还有一些6分相等等。
Many people in 1982, 83, 84, 85 will have this chart.
那么很多人
This type of chart.
那么很多人出生在1982年、83年、84年的时候呢，他们通常拥有这个形制的星盘。
Because the planets would all group here, but the moon would move around across each month. So it would only be 3 months of each year that would have this bundle type.
那么在那个一年中呢，大概只有因为月亮是绕着这个星盘是转的比较快的，所以呢一年中大概就3个月的时间呢，就是这几年出生的人会拥有这个 bundle 的 type。
Because if you look at it this way, there's a trine, there's one planet outside. It can't be a bundle.
那么大家看到说，在这个投影仪的星图上呢，就是在这个3分相之外还有一个行星，所以它不是一个bundle 的形制。
Really, if you look the other way, this would be like the bundle. There's still the moon outside, furthest away. So from the 120 degrees up to halfway, so you get something going halfway across the chart in that area, but 120 degrees out, or within the north up to 180, all on one side of the chart. That's a bowl. It's called a bowl.
那么如果所有的星盘
A bowl, like a cup, like a bowl of soup.
那么所有的如果行星都是在星盘的一个半球的话呢，我们会叫做这个碗的形制，碗形。
So when you have a bowl, all of your energy is on one side.
那么当你有碗质的形态的时候呢，你的所有的行星、所有的能量呢，都是在一个半球的。
But because it's almost an opposition, there's a relationship to the one half. There's an awareness of everything is either with me or it's against me.
那么就是因为这个强烈的这个对分的这些能量，因为它另一半是空的，所以他会在这个意识中感受到，要么所有的事情都是在我这一边的，要么所有的这个事情和人都是反对我，在我另外一边的。
So when you have a chart like this, you realize this is me, but you're always trying to get your energy together to give something to the other side.
那么当你拥有这样的星盘形制的时候呢，你会非常强烈的意识到，这就是我，这就是我的能量。但是你会非常强的驱力，想要把我的能量去奉献，去给到另一半，去给到我另外一半。
So for this chart, M's chart, all the planets are below the horizon.
那么在这张星盘中呢，所有的行星都是在地平线之下的。
This pattern ends up being below the horizon. So all the energy is going to my home, my lifestyle, what I'm doing, what I know. All the energy is personal.
那么就是因为在地平线之下，所以所有的能量都是我自己，我的生活方式，我应该怎么生活，我的家，然后我的感受。
But the dream is, I'm going to get myself together, and one day I'll put it out there. I'll give this out there. I'll do this out here. I'll make the career. I'll build things up.
那么，但是，这样的能量呢，对我来说，梦想就是有一天我就会把我所有的能量集中在一起。我希望我能够在这个世界上得到什么，去成就一些什么，这就是我的梦。
It's a burning desire to do this.
那么这是我内在非常强烈的一个燃烧的一个动力。
So she would have many talents, many capabilities, but they don't always fit in. She always can give this, always get that, but she doesn't work so well. It's not an administrator's chart.
那么他会有拥有这样星盘的人呢，他会有非常多的才能、非常多的才华、非常多的天分，但是他可能并不一定开始的时候能在社会上就是和社会融合的非常好，他并不是一个非常好的行政的适合行政的或者是商业的这样的一个星盘。
So anytime you want to think a little bit better about something, imagine the opposite. Imagine she was born 12 hours later. Everything was above the horizon.
那么，如果你想要好好理解这样的一个能量的话，你可以把它去把它的反面，用它的反面去理解。
Then she would be so much into business, friends, status, she would never have time to be at home.
那么，如果说想象一下这个星盘的这个行星全都是在地平线之上的话，那么他可能会把所有的精力都放在工作啊，然后去取得成就啊，或者去和他的朋友上面，他的那个在家里的时间可能会显得非常少。
Same chart, 12 hours difference.
那么同样的星盘，只是出生时间差了12个小时。
Same energy, different specifics of how it goes out into the world.
那么同样的能量，但是它的能量是能量是在不同的领域、不同的这个方面表现出来的。
It's just simple astrology, but it means things. Everything means something. So you just have to slow it down. This is like this. Okay, the opposite would be like, oh, so this, then you see a clearer picture. She's like this.
那么这只是非常简单的占星学，大家随都可以学会。但是在解读星盘之前，如果我们能够静下心来，先去看一看这个，然后再去想它的反面是什么，这个人他到底是怎么样去呈现这个能量的。那么即使这是非常简单的，它也能够教会我们很多东西。
So we haven't looked at the sun sign, we haven't looked at the moon sign, we haven't looked at the ascendant, we haven't looked at anything. Just the pattern.
我们现在还没有去了解这个人的太阳星座、月亮星座和上升星座，我们了解的只是他的一个星盘的形制。
So an Aries with this pattern, a Taurus with this pattern, a Gemini with this pattern, 12 different ways this pattern could still be.
那么，如果这个人的这个太阳星座是白羊座或者是金牛座，那么他也会有不同的这个12个管制的形制。
You could have two people born the same day. Basically, same day, not the same year, but they would have different patterns.
那么我们会看到，如果有2个人，那么他们出生在同一天，但是呢，他们出生在不同年份的同一天，那么我们也会看到不同的星盘的形制。
This little simple pattern type is so useful in starting out how you begin.
那么这个小小的形制，星盘的形制，看上去如此不起眼，但是他们在解读星盘的时候，却是非常实用的。
So just an example, if someone has their planets everywhere around the chart, it's a big splash all around the chart.
那么想象一下，如果一个人的这个行星在这个星盘是发散的，就是他所有的这个就是宫位都有行星。
They wouldn't be concentrated like that. They'd be going out in every direction. I know this, I know this. They have all this awareness, but hardly any concentration to get one thing done.
那么他们可能就会发散他们的精力，他们不容易去集中他们的能量去完成某一件事情。他们可能会想，我要做这个，我要做那个，而不容易去集中精力去完成一件事情。
If it's bunched up with, if one bunch was here, another bunch was down here, so it's like two sides with a whole bunch of, it's like a seesaw.
那么如果说能量是集中在就是2个领域的，就是对分的2个宫位的话呢，可能就像一个跷跷板的这个形制。
And a person's life would be this way, that way, this way at home, this way at work. They'd have two sides in their life.
那么这个人的人生呢，就好像他有2个面相一样。
So it's simple but useful. So when you download it, this is one of the first things you grab and you look at.
那么这是非常简单，它是非常实用的，所以我希望大家能够应用。那么大家在下载这个奖学金的这个课程里面都有。
So between these two charts, one where the aspects are just left on from the computer, the other one where you colored them, I normally would do this and put a fainter, a lighter coloring for the other one so I can still see the pattern type and still see the aspects of the ascendant or the midheaven.
那么我通常就是会把这个相位的这个线呢都画出来，强调出来，然后也把这个上升点和中天的这些相位都就是说强调出来。
So now every time you look at this chart, if you look at this one, you can lose it. So when I was doing this, it was a long time ago. I was just trying to get everything up, and I should have fixed it to be like this. But when this is here, if you're looking at that, anytime you work with a chart, you're always aware that pattern is there.
那么，每当我们去解读星盘的时候呢，第一步我们首先要去看这个星盘的形制是什么样的。
It's kind of like you're meeting someone and you're always aware they're a guy or it's a girl. You have a basic awareness that is always there.
那么就好像你认识一个人，你需要对这个人有基本的这个意识，他是男生还是女生。
So this is the definition of the bull. All the planets on one side, within an opposition. One half to almost 2/3 of the chart is empty.
那么这就是一个晚制的一个定义，就是所有的行星呢是在这个星盘的一面的，也就是在一个这个半球之内的。那么差不多一半或者是2/3的这个部分呢，这个星盘的部分呢是空的。
Instinctively aware of being set off against or separated from one half of existence.
那么它这个直觉性是意识到它和另外一半和另外一个存在呢是这个分。
I get things I can do. How come I don't have a job?
那么就好像说我有天分，我有财富，我有资源，但是为什么我没有一份工作呢？
Maybe if I get married, I won't have to have the job.
那么好像如果我结婚以后我就有了一个工作一样。
That's an interesting question for this chart.
那么这是一个非常有意思的问题，对于这个星盘的主人。
It'd be easier to be at home, have babies, have kids, and be creative, than to go just be working.
那么对于他来说，可能就是结婚，然后生子，在家里就是非常有创意的生活，可能比这个去工作更舒适。
So just to be working and not having any kids or the family would seem, what am I doing this for?
那么如果说他只是工作而没有家庭和孩子的话，他会拷问自己，我这是在做什么呢？
Just simple little associations. You see this, you look and you say, oh, and you sense it. You just have to follow it and trust it a little bit, and you know it locks in real.
那么就好像这是非常这个简单，但是它也非常的这个就是强大。如果你能够感受这些，然后呢能够感受到这个背后的驱力，你就可以感受到这个人的能量。
It's not a restriction on someone's destiny. It's a choice.
那么它并不是对一个人命运的限制，而是告诉这个人你的选择可以是什么。
And there's still so many choices you could make, but you'll make it along this line.
那么你仍然是可以去做很多选择的，但是呢，你的选择也是要沿着你的这个生命之线进行选择的。
So, instinctively aware of being set off against from one half of existence.
他好像强烈的意识到，他好像跟另外的一半是是分开的。
A strong sense of what concerns you and what does not.
那么他有非常强烈的就是意识，什么会让你烦恼，什么不会。
Go to work today. No, I don't feel it.
我想要工作，但是我今天不大想上班。
There's a strong sense of knowing who you are and who you're not.
那么你非常清楚自己是谁，自己不是谁。
I can't do that anymore.
我不能再做了，
That's not me.
这不是我。
So you'll always be linked up to a cause of one kind or another.
你好像生命中总是和某一个这个就是事业，某一个这个你的追梦相联系的。
This type always has something to give to others, either literally or psychologically.
那么这个形制的人呢，他总是有一种能够奉献给这个别人的天赋，不管是这个口头上的或者还是心理上的。
There's also an inner concern over the purpose of existence.
那么他内在还是有一种声音是说，我的存在的意义是什么？
So, if you saw my chart when it first came up, it was all on one side, same type. Always have to have my information to be giving it out to people.
那么我的那个出生星盘也是一样的，我也是所有的行星都在一边的，所以呢，对我来说，我也是需要把我的东西、我的这个想法、我的思维去好像整合起来，需要给到别人。
When I was younger and I didn't know anything, I was still trying to do that.
那么在我年轻的时候，我并不了解占星学，但我还是在做这些。
So I don't know if I would like me if I met the me when I was a young kid. I don't know if I would like him now.
那么我不知道说，当我如果遇见那个年轻的我的话呢，我还是不是会喜欢这个人？
But I always had the proof I could do this, I could know this, I could do this. It always pushed me.
那么那种内在的驱力，我可以做这个，我可以做那个，总是在驱动着我。
Okay, so now the next thing we have to look at is the moon phase.
那么第二个呢，接下来我们需要去看的就是一个月亮月相。
When you want to see the moon phase, you look at the sun, divide your chart in half, imagine the opposite point, and if it's on the counterclockwise sign, if it's going against the clock, going this way, it's going to be waxing. It's building up away from the sun up to the full moon.
那么就是说，有一个秘诀去看这个月相的话呢，首先我们找到太阳在哪儿，然后找到这个假设对分相的那个月亮在哪儿，那个是满月的位置，然后呢是就是那个逆时针的这个方向呢，所有的这个月相呢都是这个它是盈的，就是从那个新月到满月的，就是慢慢渐长的这个过程。
So if you look at the opposite point, you see the moon is coming on this side, moving back to the sun. It's moving back towards the sun. Then, when it's moving towards the sun, it's after the full moon, coming back to the new moon. It's the waning half of the moon. The light's getting darker and darker and darker till the new moon.
那么从另外一个这个方面呢，就是从这个满月，然后顺时针到了这个太阳的这个位置的话呢，就是渐亏的这个月亮。那么这个时候呢，月亮从满月到新月，也就是慢慢这个月光越少。
So whenever you look at the chart, look at the sun. Is the moon moving away from the sun, or is the moon moving back to the sun?
那么，所以呢，当我们去看这个星盘的月相的时候呢，首先我们会去看，这个太阳在哪儿，然后呢满月在哪儿，然后呢它是在顺时针还是逆时针这儿，就看它是渐亏还是渐盈。
It's simple. You look, you see it, then stop for a minute.
那么这是非常简单的，你看到它，然后呢你再去感受一下它。
What does this mean?
这代表什么？
So it means if the moon's waxing, it's had the conjunction, it's been energized, and the light is building up. I gotta see how far I can take this. I gotta see how far I can take this. I gotta see how far I can take it.
那么就是如果是在渐盈的这一部分呢，这个月亮它已经经历过这个新月的那个欣喜的那个时刻，那个新的能量开启的时刻，然后它总是想要去把这个探索更多的，想要把这个能量去探索更多的东西。
Conjunctions, it's like people get together. And then you get energized. Yahoo! Hi! You can tell if someone's had a conjunction last night. They come out, they're happy, they're smiling.
那么就
They
是
got energy.
合相，其实就好像两个人相遇。当你相遇以后，你好像就有了那个欣喜的能量，就好像你会去非常开心的做一些事情，你就很欣喜。你可以看到这个人面带微笑。
If someone hasn't had a conjunction, I don't worry. Okay, I just gotta go in and do this. It's a different attitude.
如果说一个人他没有合相的话，他可能会说：“哎，我今天要上班了。”就是不同的能量，不同的态度。
It sounds simple, it sounds gross, but it's just nature.
那么它听上去非常简单，它听上去非常的就是平白，但是实际上它就是自然。
If you haven't had a conjunction and your neighbor has, this is not nice. This is not fair.
如果你没有一个合相，但是你的这个邻居有一个合相，你会认为说这一点也不友好，这一点也不公平。
If you've had the conjunction and your neighbor hasn't, well, tough luck for them. I'm going.
如果你有合相的话，你邻居没有合相的话，你会非常幸福，非常开心。
But in life with people, this is the social mechanism of peer pressure. Who's got what? Where are we? What's happy? What's not happy? Have I had a kid? Don't I have a kid? How come they got their house and kid? I don't have mine yet. I'm 30, I'm not married yet. Oh my goodness, all these issues.
那么这就是好像在这个社会现象中，人们会说，就是哎呀，你有什么，我有什么，哎，你有孩子，我还没有孩子，哎呀，我30岁了，我还没有结婚，就这样的一种思维状态。
So when the moon is on the half, if you imagine the squares, so here the moon is just moving back to the sun. But if it's on the half, coming back to the sun or going away from the sun, it's moving to or from the conjunction. One is, yes, I've been there, yeah, and I'm going out to do things. The other is, I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there. I got to get home. Boyfriend's there. I got to next supper. I got to do the anticipation. You're trying to move towards the new.
那么就是说，月亮它如果是这个出相位和入相位的话，也是两种不同的态度。就好像说，一种就是我要去跟这个人建立关系，我要去照顾这个人的想法；另外一个好像就是我要去做什么，我要去干什么，我要把能量发散出去。
The waxing moon is trying to start things. The waning moon is trying to finish things. Get rid of the boss. Get rid of the extra work. Let me get back home.
那么就是 就是见盈的这个月亮呢，好像去做什么事情；见亏的月亮呢，就好像说我要去完成什么事情，就好像说，哎呀，我要完成这个事情，我要跟这个老板说再见，然后我要回家休息了。
So if your moon's coming back to the sun, if it's like this, you say, "Honey, I'm home."
如果你的月亮就是见亏的，就是入相位的，就是你可能就会对你的那个亲爱的说，我回来了。
Then there's a big anticipation.
那么这就是有一个非常大的期待。
For the husband, it might be, "Oh, good," or "Oh, gee, here we go again."
那么对于你老公来说，他可能有两种态度，哦，太好了，或者哦，你又回来了。
So with our phases of the moon, we have different attitudes, different ways of pushing. This is for a lifetime. We have this attitude.
那么不同的月相呢，就好像不同的能量、不同的态度。但是对我们来说非常重要的是，当我们拥有这个特殊的月相的时候呢，我们一生中就有这个不同的态度。
If you're near the opposition coming up to the full moon.
那么如果你是在这个靠近这个对分相的话，就是接近就是满月的那个月相。
Then you're either trying to see how far can I go? How far can I go? Let's see how far I can take it.
那么你好像一直就是在尝试说，我能走多远？我能走多远？我能走多远？
At the opposition, at the full moon, you realize, oh, look at this. This is as far as it'll go.
那么月亮就好像月相在那个满月的时候，就是最远的那个距离。于是你内在就会有这样的驱力，就去尝试我能够走多远，我能够去飞多高。
So it's like you get a deja vu. It's like, this is as far as it goes. I've been here before. I can't do anything more. Oh, gee. That's the full moon.
那么就好像说，那个对满月的人来说，他可能到了这个地位，他可能做到这个走到很远，他可能会想尝试说，我还能走多远。
When you can't do anything more, you think, what's everybody doing?
那么，当你不能再做的更多的时候，你会问自己，我这是在干什么呢？
And it changes. So we think that the opposition, the full moon, is on awareness. It's about understanding and awareness. The conjunction, the new moon, is about conjunction, activity, energy.
那么，满月呢是代表这个意识，代表他的这个代表他对这个觉知。那么新月呢是代表这个非常激烈的这些行动。
So you get close to someone, you get a conjunction, and then you get away, and by the time you get to the opposition, you're either going to have one of two things. Oh, I want to go back. Or you're going to think, I don't want to go back there.
当我们跟一个人相遇，就好像那个合相，然后呢，到了我们分开了以后呢，我们就好像进入了这个对分相，就是满月的那个状态。当我们到了满月，我们可能就会有两种态度，要么我们就想回去，要么就会说我再也不想回到那个地方了。
So some conjunctions are better than others.
有一些合相呢是对相对来说比另外一些合相好。
So some build-ups after the conjunction to the opposition, the full moon, is better than others.
那么sorry.
So if some conjunctions are better than others, the activity that comes after a conjunction can be better or worse too.
那么即使是就是说这个好的这个合相的话，那么它经过这个合相在走到这个对分相的过程中呢，这些行为也会有好有坏。
We're looking at the map. We're trying to get to the experience, not the symbol.
我们看到生命的这个地图的时候，我们是想要去理解这个人的经历，而不是去给这个人贴标签。
The symbol can be useful for extra information, but it's not the basic core of understanding it.
那么符号呢，可能会给我们更好的去理解这个人，理解这个星盘，但是呢，它并不能就是真正的去了解这个人的能量和经历。
So after the full moon, you realize, I can't do anything more here. I got to adjust. I got to get away from this. I can't do this anymore. But how do I start? How do I get going again? And you don't know how to get back to it. You're trying to get back to the next conjunction, whatever it would be, but you're not sure. It's just not this. How come this isn't here? How come this isn't here? And you have an understanding. You moving. Oh, I see where it's going. Now what do I have to do next?
那么，经历过满月以后呢，你可能就要经历一个调试的过程。你就会去，因为你接下来就会要去再和这个太阳合相，也就是再经历一个新的新月。但是在这个过程中，你可能会想，我接下来要干什么？我怎么才能做？我真的要去做这些吗？所以你会经历一些调试的过程。
So it's like a magnet, or like the tides of the moon.
那么这就是像一个吸引力或者潮汐，就是好像月亮吸引潮汐潮涨一样。
So now we have two factors. We have the bull type, who's got their energy, always wants to give something to others, who's trying to move towards the next conjunction.
那么这 个现在呢，我们有2个因素，一个就是他的这个形制，另外一个就是月相。那么这个形制的这个人呢，就代表说他的能量好像意识到自己是怎么样，他想要把他这一部分去奉献给另外一半。
I'm coming home. Where are you? Where are you? I've got to get everything together. We're gonna get home. Where are you?
那么他现在也是一个月亮见亏的这个过程，所以他也是说我要回家，我要回家，你在哪里？
This is not a chart that says, I'm coming home. Just be wherever you are. Leave me alone. It's not saying that.
那么他并不是一个这个星盘的人，并不是说我回家了，然后我的老公随便在哪儿我不在意，而是我希望我回家的时候你在哪儿。
Or if you're coming home, I'll make it better for you. I'll do this. I'll get this thing. So there's always this anticipation to make it better.
那么也就是说，我回家了以后呢，这个星盘的主人回家了以后呢，他会希望，他带着那个期望说，我要把这个家变得更好，我可以做这个，我可以为你做那个。
At the same time, there's a sense of hopelessness, of ending. What am I doing here? This is why I'm caught up here. I don't want to be here. There's a sense of like, I got to get out of this. It's all ending, so that something new can come.
那么好，另外呢，也就是有一种，就是好像生命中有不同的结束的时间，好像说，我在这儿，我已经做了这些，我想要去做新的东西，我想要去做别的东西。
Two simple little pieces of information.
那么就是这2个非常简单的信息加叠在一起。
The pattern type and the bowl.
那么这个星盘的形制和碗形。
If you knew nothing else, you could do a consultation with someone.
那么你什么都不知道，但是你还是可以基于这个为别人做咨询。
Without talking about anything else, it would still be useful.
不需要谈其他任何的行星，你还是可以去跟对方聊很多东西。
Okay. This is the official interpretation of this moon phase.
那么这是一个非常这是一个就是对这个月相的这个解读。
What time is it? What time is it?
时间
10点1刻。
15 minutes left for 10:30.
It's 10:50.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, we'll do this. This phase begins at the waning half moon and ends 3.5 days later at the crescent moon, when it's a crescent.
那么这个月相呢，开始在这个下弦月，然后呢，在这个在1天半以后呢，在这个残月结束。
The moonlight's diminishing. Less than half of the moon sphere is lit up, and it's getting smaller.
那么月光呢是减少的，所以就是月球的半球的一半部分呢是被点亮的，然后呢这个它的月光是渐消的、渐亏的。
There's a sense of moving towards a new beginning somewhere in the not too distant future.
那么它内在呢会有种感受，在不远将来，好像呢它就要去开始一个新的开始了，在哪儿会有一个新的开始。
There is also a sense of being insignificant in the light of what is to come.
那么他好像就是有感觉是说，对于那些将要来到这个生命中的那些东西，他好像有一种非常强烈的感觉。
You might at times feel that you're losing your independence and wanting to find reinforcement from someone else.
那么你可能会不时的去感受到，你好像失去了自己的独立性，你想要去失去这个独立性，然后想要去寻找和别人在一起的那种感觉。
So these are descriptions of how it works, but if you hear them and you stop for a few minutes and listen and see how would this work, it goes in.
那么这就是一个对这个月相的这个解读。但是当我们看到这些解读的时候呢，我们就停一下，然后感受一下这个能量，它会让你产生一些感觉。
These will be lifetime considerations at 17, at 30, at 45, at 70. The same feeling will be there.
那么这就是一个伴随这个星盘主人一生的这些情绪，在17岁、在31岁、在45岁，这些声音、这些情绪都会伴随着他一生。
So at 70, I can't stay at home much longer. I'm like, when am I going to be put in a home? Where am I going? I can't, it's ending. Oh my goodness. I can't rely on the kids. What's next?
那么就好像在70岁的时候，小孩都走了，你可能会想，哎，我要开始一个新的家了，我应该做什么？我应该做什么？
When you're 30, it's like if you're not married, when am I going to do with it? Like, how do I get out of this? It's there. If you're 45, you got your kids, they're built up. What's next? I can't live with my kids. What's happening? So this is a normal thing, but you can see it at every age.
那么这就是一个非 非常普遍的现象，你可以在每一个年龄都看到。比如说在30岁的时候，如果你还没有结婚，你会想，哎呀，我的新生活在哪里？我如何开始我的新生活？然后如果是在45岁的时候，你孩子离开家庭的话，你会想，我不能为我孩子而生活，他们现在都长大了，我自己应该为自己做些什么呢？
So if you have a kid and you're trying to think, how do you get them out of the house? Do they go to school? What are they going to do in their life? It's important to know these two things.
那么，就是不管是对于你自己来说，还是你家人来说，那么这2点，知道星盘的这2点都是非常重要的。
What will work for them may not be the same as you.
那么对于你能够管用的，可能对他们并不管用。
Emma could have a kid, and if she had a kid and the kid was just all business and all for status and wants to be a politician, everything exactly the opposite of her, it's a puzzle to bring them up.
那么，如果他们想象星盘的主人拥有一个小孩，他的小孩的能量都是在星盘上，地平线之上的，都是想要去成为那个政治家、成为商人的话，那么可能是完全跟他不一样的能量。那么对他来说，抚养这个小孩也是一个挑战。
If you had 2 kids, and one was out to do business and the other just wanted to stay home, one would like you more than the other.
那么，如果你有2个小孩，一个小孩是在外面工作，到外面闯荡，另外小孩待在家里，你可能会更偏向于喜欢另外一个小孩。
So it sits there like the DNA, but you look at life, you don't see DNA, you usually see life in a puzzle. But you see, when you know this, you can see the connection.
那么这就好像是你生命的 DNA， 它就是在你身上的。但是一般来说，我们是不会看到 DNA， 我们看到的只是这个人他是怎么活出他的这个能量的。
You will often feel you're changing and will not be doing what you're presently involved in.
你好像感觉你自己总是在变化，你好像感觉自己总是并不是在做你目前已经熟悉的一些东西。
Along with this comes a sense of maintaining a facade or image while preparing for a different reality.
那么这好像就感觉到你会感受到一种疲惫，然后呢，你会总是去准备为一个新的现实在做准备。
Oh, you're nice, I'll date you, but you're not the person I'm going to marry.
Sorry.
Oh, you're nice, I'll date you, but you're not the person I'm going to marry.
哦，你非常棒，我想跟你谈恋爱，但是你并不是我想要结婚的那个人。
Uh-oh. So it sets up types of scenarios.
那么它就好像说，这些能量会给我们生命中带来一些情境。
The minute you find yourself in a committed situation, you'll either want more or you'll start preparing for the next one.
那么一旦你发现自己处于一个承诺的这个关系中呢，你要么就会想要求更多，要么你会想开始去寻找下一份感情。
This means you often harbor doubts about the present and hope for a better future.
那么这意味着就是你好像总是对现在有一些疑虑，总会对现在有一些顾虑，你总是希望有一个更好的未来。
But with this attitude, consistency can be a problem.
那么因为有这样的态度呢，对你生命来说，你的持续性就是一个问题。
Just stay at the job for the next 10 years, you'll get your promotion.
那么你就在你的工作上干10年吧，你总是会获得一个这个提升的。
You want to share, but you have to have a sense of why and where it is all leading to.
那么你想要去分享，但是呢，你必须要知道为什么要分享，以及它能带来什么。
If you feel that people around you are not sharing or going in the same direction as you, you will align to new aspirations and new associates.
那么如果你感受到你身边的那些人呢，跟你所走的方向不同的话呢，可能你会跟结识新的朋友。
We're having fun. What do you want to know somebody else for?
我们现在虽然很开心，但是我也想知道别人在干什么。
Often it will seem like you're just waiting for the opportunity to change.
好像总是看上去你在等待着那个机遇来到，改变你的生活。
Old accomplishments will be left behind for new adventures and new
那么
relationships.
你总是会把这个过去的这个成就抛之脑后，然后呢，去为打开新的这个探险和新的关系呢，打开一个门。
This can be simple. You have a boyfriend, you get married, you have a kid, and suddenly you love the kid more than the husband.
那这很简单，就好像说你有了个男朋友，然后你们结婚了，然后你生了孩子，然后接下来突然之间你就更爱这个孩子超过你的老公了。
It doesn't have to be a big conspiracy. It's just simple little things. And there it is.
那么它并不需要是一个非常非常戏剧化的情节，它只是生命中的那些小小的事情。
But this wouldn't be a simple thing for the husband.
但是这对于你的老公来说，可能并不是一件小事。
Especially if they were a Leo and it's supposed to be my kid.
那么，如果你老公是那个狮子座的话，他可能会说这是我的孩子。
Okay. So, your idealism about relationships can cause personal pain and bring vulnerabilities to the surface.
那么，你对关系的这一种过于理想化，可能会造成你个人的痛苦，然后把这些内在的这个脆弱带到表面。
It's important for you to get hugs and encouragement.
那么对你来说，获得拥抱和鼓励非常非常重要。
Nice chart. Nice chart. Nice chart. So, you seem to lose yourself in every new involvement.
那么好像你在这个每个新的这个涉及的事物中会失去一部分自己。
You're too quick to respond, or to a need or a time demand.
那么你好像对于一个需要和对一个实时的要求，你会过快的做反应。
I'll fix it. I'll do it. I'll get it to you. I'll do this.
我来解决它，我来帮你解决这个问题，我会做这个，我会做那个。
Doesn't say, don't do anything more for me, please. Don't do anything more.
那么另外一个人好像说，不要再为我做这个了，不要为我做这个了。
Or they could be saying more and more, more and more. That's good.
那么另外一个人也可能会说，哎，不错不错，再为我做的更多，再为我做更多吧。
You're a little, you seem to be a little too quick to respond to a need or a time demand. You need to try to find quality in your relationships rather than quantity.
那么你需要在你的这个所有的人生关系中呢，去寻找质量，而不是数量。
You need to understand why you are attracting the people that you do.
那么你需要理解为什么你会吸引你生命中吸引的那一些人。
It's not how come this person is doing this to me. It's how come I'm attracting this person.
那么你需要去问自己，你需要去理解，不是说为什么这个人会这么对我，而是为什么我会吸引这样的人来对我。
You need to understand why you're attracting the type of people you do. You are looking for the seeds, but often don't look deep enough.
你好像总是在寻求这个生命的种子，但是你好像寻找的就都过于浅了。
You want someone else to show you the answer.
你想让别人告诉你答案。
You try really hard to make it work.
你好像有这样的倾向，会把自己过于快的或者过于非成熟的去投入一段关系，然后呢，接下来呢，你可能会过于努力的去让他维持这种关系。
Sometimes the other person doesn't deserve your energy or need your energy.
那么有的时候呢，对方呢，他并不一定值得，或者是他能够及得上你的能量水平。
So if you had kids, how do you let them do their own thing when you could help them? Make it better.
那么如果想象你有个小孩的话，如果你能够为他们做所有的事情，并且帮他们做好这些事情的话，那小孩还能做什么呢？
If you're married to someone like this, it's your mom. Because you're only doing things your mother's supporting it, and it's your mom.
那么如果你有小孩的话，可能会为小孩做所有的事情。
So these little moon faces. It took me 20 years to write them.
这些月相的话，我花了20年去写它的这些不同的能量。
It's a very complicated relationship. It's not just the sun and the sign. It's not just the moon. It's how they come together. How they set it has many different layers of meaning.
那么月相它并不是只简单的代表月亮，而它代表的是月亮和太阳的关系，它有非常多的层面，它有非常多的这个丰富的内涵。
There are many books, especially from the States, that say the conjunction is like Aries. Everything starts at Aries. You go on impulse. It builds up to the square, builds up to the opposition, comes back to the conjunction.
那么有很多写这个占星的书，特别是在美国发行的那些书呢，它都会说，合相呢就像那个白羊座，它是开始做事情，然后呢直到做到这个四分相，然后就是对分相。
When is the beginning of the year?
那么一年的开始的时候是哪一天呢
When is the beginning of the year?
一年的开始是哪一天呢 ？March.
Your year begins in March? When's the beginning of the year?
Spring Festival.
When's Chinese New Year?
February.
When's the beginning of the calendar year?
Aquarius New Year.
The beginning of the year really is at the greatest darkness, December 21st, 22nd.
老师说这个一年的开始呢，实际上应该是一年中最黑暗的时刻，就是12月21号。
When's the beginning of the day? When's the beginning? Nice beginning. When's the beginning of the day?
那么一天的开始是什么时候呢？
Yes, not sunrise, midnight.
是午夜，并不是就是日出的时候。
It starts at the greatest darkness, the light builds up. If you have a baby and you're just going on impulse, that baby's not going to live.
那么就是一天的开始就在午夜，因为那个时候就是黑暗最长的时候。如果你有一个小孩，你要抚养个小孩，你不能只靠自己的这个冲动去养育他。
I have a baby. Oh, this is work. Oh, this is time. I got to plan this. I got no time for this. This is serious. It's serious. It's cautious. That baby could die in a second. You're holding the baby. This is Capricorn is at the beginning.
那么，当你有一个小孩的时候，他是严肃的，你需要去做这个，你需要去做规划，因为养育小孩是非常重要的事情。他一不小心可能就会出很大的问题，所以这就是摩羯，你必须要小心翼翼，这是摩羯的能量。
So many books have written the phases of the moon, conjunction aspects like beginning with Aries. When you see that, you'll see it's saying be impulsive, be impulsive. Stop for a moment. Just think about it.
那么很多书上会写说，新月的时候会是非常冲动的，非常这个直觉，非常冲动的这样的一个能量。那么可能我们需要去让自己去更去安静一下，然后去感受这样的能量。
This is the danger of knowing the symbols and the numbers and the association without seeing it in nature.
那么这就是有这样的一个危险。如果我们只是看到这些符号，只是看到数学和这个符号的联系，只是用这些符号代入的话，我们不看到自然的话，可能我们会对能量有一些误读。
You plant a seed in the ground. You don't know if it's going to grow. It's dark.
如果你把这个种子种在地上的话呢，你并不知道它会不会成长，因为这是黑暗的时刻。
The first time you sleep with someone, it's not the easiest time.
你第一次和对方睡在一起的时候，这并不是一个非常简单的时刻，容易的时刻。
It's always, what's happening here? What's wrong? What are we doing? Like, how do we make this better?
那么你总是会有不同的想法，说，哎，这个怎么会发生这个呢？这个是不是对呢？这个是不是好呢？
Fortunately, it's easy to make it better.
那么，幸运的是呢，我们能够有幸去把这个事情做得更好。
It just takes time. If it's a kid, you just got to put in the 6 months or the year.
那么我们需要的就是花时间把这个事情做得更好。
Okay, so the last thing, just take it's 10:30. We're going to take a break and take 5 minutes.
那么，最后讲一下这个，然后我们会休息一下，休息10分钟左右。
The next thing we look at, so you got the pattern type, you see the moon phase. You already see a really significant behavioral quality of that person.
那么我们刚刚看到的这个是星盘的形制加上月相，那么就这2样东西呢，我们已经看到了非常强的这个人的能量，他的实际的能量是什么样子。
So here you're just doing a quick look at the sun, moon, ascendant.
那么接下来呢，我们快速的去看一下这个人的日月申。
Not deep, you're just looking to see what stands out, what's prominent to him, just by what you see, just a few seconds. What do you see? Sun in Scorpio, moon in Leo, ascendant Cancer.
那么我们非常快的感受一下这个能量，你觉得什么样的感受跳出来了？
So is she stubborn?
那么他的太阳是天蝎，月亮是狮子，那么上升是巨蟹，那么他是一个非常固执的人吗？
Two fixed, sun and moon are fixed signs?
那么2个固定星座，
She's not going to change easy.
他不容易轻易的改变。
So if it's, I'm trying to get to new, I'm trying to get to new. No, I'm trying to hold on to the past, I'm trying to hold the past. It's coming, but I don't want to let go.
那么就好像是我要去做什么，我要做什么，我要改变，但是不，我不想改变，我要去抓住我的这个过去，我要抓住我过去的东西。
And while it's happening, the personal Cancer sense taking everything personally. Personally, but we got to hold on.
那么他的上升巨蟹会把所有的事情，就会想的个人化，就会认为这就是好像什么都是跟我有关的，什么都是跟我相关的。
So you see the 2 fixed signs, that's one big number. You see the 2 water, very personal, takes everything personally, holds grudges, can't let go of things.
那么就是刚刚看到2个固定星座，它就是非常有固执的这个能量。那么还有2个水象，就是天蝎和巨蟹都是水象的，他们是情绪化的，会把所有的都会就是转化成变成跟个人有关的，跟个人的这个情绪影响个人情绪有关的。
If you say something that hurts her, she's going to remember the last 20 times you did that 30 years ago.
那么如果你伤害了他，他可能会记得20年前你伤害他的那句话。
But the water has a great imagination, a great sympathy, and really its own special magic.
那么对他来说，那个水象也给他带来了一个非常重要的一个魔力，也就是说，他有这种想象力和这种包容和这种那种慈悲心的能力。
So it's emotional, it's fixed, and yet that moon in Leo is proud.
那么它是情绪化的，也是物质的，但是月亮在狮子座，它是骄傲的。
You can't walk home and not say, "Hi, honey, how are you?"
那么你可以想象他的伴侣回家不能不说，哎，亲爱的，你今天过得怎么样？
If you walk home and she says, "Hey, honey, no, I'm busy. I'll talk to you in a minute. I'm busy," and then you're busy for an hour, you're in trouble.
那么如果她回家了，然后她跟她的那个老公打招呼，她老公她说我很忙，你别跟我说话。那么她忙了1个小时，那么这个时候她老公就非常麻烦了。
Then she would get proud. I got treated like this. I'm better than this, and then she gets Scorpio mad.
那么她就会有这个月亮那个狮子的骄傲，她就说啊我怎么值得这样的对待？你怎么可以这样对待我？接下来她的这个天蝎的这个仇恨的能量就爆发了。
And the rice will be burnt and will be served cold.
那么她老公只能吃残羹冷饭了晚上。
If you're the husband, you know I better not eat this.
如果你是她老公的话，你最好还是把这个饭吃了。
It's a pie. Just making a little comically out of these 3 things. But there's one other thing that's really significant out of these 3 combinations.
那么这就是一个像一个这个卡通片一样的，让大家把这个能量看出来了。但是呢，在这个刚刚讲到的之外呢，还有一点非常非常重要。
All 3 points, the darkness is increasing.
那么这3点所有的都是黑夜增长的。
All 3 points are pointers. I want to belong more. I want to be with someone. I'm going for relationships. I want to find me. Everything's moving in that direction.
那么这个三点呢，就是非常重要的，就是黑夜增长的。那么它都是寻找这个归属的，寻找关系的。我需要去归属于这个人，我需要去归属于这个事业，我需要去属于什么团体。
That's it. First 3 steps. Pattern type. My own way, but I'm going to try and do something for you. Let me do this for you. I'll do this in anticipation of the conjunction to come. Then you have the moon phase. That's it. I'm going to try and get closer. I'm going to try and get closer. Then you have this attitude. I want to belong more. What are you doing? Where are you going? We're going here, aren't we?
那么这就是刚刚讲到的3点，这个三个步骤。第一个就是行制。那么大家也看到说，他的这个有一半驱力想要去奉献给另一半。那么第二个呢，就是月相。这个月相就是我要去更加去倾向于去建立联系。那么第3个呢，就是我们看到日月申。那么日月申里面，我们刚刚讲到很多，也就是说最后我们总结就是这个人他也会去趋向于想要归属。
Okay, so we're going to take a break now, but we've got this far. We haven't even gone into planets and signs, any of the deeper things, any of the seeming more knowledgeable things. But we're already got really intimate, significant, meaningful information.
那么我们现在只是看的这些比较简单的这些3个步骤，那么还没有行进到行星啊或者星座啊这些深入的这些研究。但是我们现在已经好像对这个人有一些非常亲密的了解了。
If you're a teacher in the school, you won't know the time of the children, but you'll know their birthdays.
那么如果你是学校的老师，你不一定能知道学生他们的这个出生时间，但是你有他的出生信息。
If you have the pattern type in the moon phase, you can understand a lot about that kid and how they process.
那么如果你有这些小孩的这个星盘的形制和他的月相的话，你已经有非常多的信息，应该知道怎么和这个小孩相处了。
So you just don't rush. Slow it down. You get a couple pieces of information. Make it real before you go on.
不要过于快的去进入那个海量的这个一头扎进这个星盘的过多的信息。那么我们需要做的就是减慢速度，然后呢，慢慢的一步一步的去深入的去理解这个人的能量。
It's the same thing. If you're going to make love to someone, take a few hours to enjoy it before you get there.
就好像说，想要跟这个人做爱的话呢，你可能不需要这么过于仓促，你可能就是花几个小时去享受这个2个人之间的美好时光吧。
Okay, let's have a break.
大家先休息一下。然后我不会计算这个南北交的这个分数，然后我会把上升和天顶呢各算1分。
So there's 6 categories. We have to go through and see how much each one is.
那么我们想要接下来有6个部分，我们去一一的去这个接触。
And we don't have to you don't have to say something about everything. You're looking for the extremes. When there's a bunch of one or where there's nothing of something, then it stands out. When it stands out like that, it will stand out in the person.
那么我们并不需要去看每一个细节，而是说这个人他的这个能量的集中或者是缺少是什么。比如说这个信息它凸显了，也就是说它的水是比较多的，水象是比较多的，或者风象是比较少的。那么如果有这些非常凸显的能量的话，那么这个一定会在这个人身上表达出来。
First category, daylight greater, nighttime greater.
那么第一个部分我们去看说，它是这个日光更多的呢，还是夜长更多的，夜昼更多的？
Half of the zodiac. One way or the other. One is going towards freedom. One is going towards belonging and responsibility.
那么一个是倾向于自由的，另外一个呢是倾向于这个责任和归属的。
So it's funny because the Capricorns, even though they're so responsible, they're moving towards freedom.
那么虽然很有意思啊，就是摩羯座虽然他们非常的有责任感，但是他们也是趋向于自由的。
And Sagittarians who are into everything and going around saying everything are building up more and more commitment.
那么射手座呢，虽然他们什么都想做，但其实他们是趋向于更多的这个承诺的。
So then you look at how many points daylight increasing. This has it the other way. So I would do the increasing, nighttime increasing first, but it doesn't matter. I, me, we, us. Movement towards I, me, spring and summer, or movement towards we, us. The we is the responsibility, the teamwork. To get a group together, it takes work. These things have to be done. To just do your own thing, no problem.
那么也接下来呢也会去看这个日光是增长的和夜长是增长的。那么它就是这样的，这个动能是趋向于我和我自己的，还是趋向于我们的？如果趋向于我们的话，我就会希望说是有责任，然后去一起做一些事情。
Then this what season? How many points in spring, summer, fall, winter?
那么就是哪一个季节？那么这些行星落在哪一个季节比较多？
It tells you which. Like every season, the sun goes through those signs, Mercury, Venus. So it tells you which season is most active.
那么它会告诉你说，在你星盘中哪一个季节的能量是凸显的。
And then masculine and feminine, whether you project or not project.
那么然后呢是阴性和阳性的能量，也就是说你是投射型的还是反馈型的。
And how many points in earth, air, fire, water? Which ones are the predominant? Which one's the least? What does that mean?
那么4个元素就是土元素、风元素、火元素和水元素。那么哪一个元素你的分数比较多、比较显耀？哪一个元素你的这个分数比较少或者是缺乏的？那么这它们分别代表着什么？
How many points cardinal? How many points fixed? How many points mutable?
那么你拥有多少分数是这个固定的、开创的、固定的和变动的星座？
And how many points for each rulership?
那么每一个这个你的这个公主星，它的这个分数是多少？
So how many points in Taurus and Libra would be all ruled by Venus? How many points to Venus? How many points to Mars? Like that.
那么比如说那个这个如果你的这个金星的话呢是守护天秤座和这个金牛座的，所以说金星他们如果守护2个星座的话，那么他们会获得几分？
This is a spreadsheet, and you enter in how many points in each sign, and it does all the other calculations for you.
那么其实呢，这就是一个我做的这个自动化的一个表格啊。那么如果你把每一个这个行星的这个分数打进去的话，它自动的会总结的。
This will be in the class file, so when you download it, it will be in the non-audio file, so it's useful like that. But it's useful just to count them too, to get used to doing that.
那么这个就是大家下载的这些奖学金里面就有这个文档，所以大家可以去使用。这个文档非常好用的。
So you see here, the bold type, the waning half moon, and then we start counting. So Aries is 0, Taurus is 0, Gemini is 0, Cancer 1 for the ascendant, Leo's 2 for the moon, Virgo's 2 for Venus and Mars, Libra's 1, Scorpio's 4. Okay. Sagittarius is 3, Capricorn 0, Sagittarius 3, Capricorn 0, Aquarius 0, Pisces 1.
那么我们大家看到说这个记录的非常详细啊，即使我们去统计这个也是非常有意思的。那么看一下月相的周期，我们可以看到它是这个消散的这个月亮，然后呢是属于这个下弦月。然后呢，每一个分数的话，刚刚讲到说是白羊座0分，金牛0分，双子0，然后巨蟹1，狮子2分，处女2分，然后呢天秤座1分，天蝎座有4分，射手座有3分，然后摩羯座和这个水瓶座是0分，然后呢双鱼座是1分。
This process, when you're working it, 5 minutes.
那么当你做这个事情的话，只需要花5分钟。
You see, it took a little bit of time to reflect on it, but it's not, it's just preparing you to go deeper.
那么它只是让你去做一个非常好的、非常基础的准备工作，让你去更深入的去了解这个人。
So if you take the keywords for each sign, 0 and I am, 0 and I have, 0 and I think, 1 and I feel, 2 I will, 2 I analyze, 1 I balance, 4 I desire, 3 I understand what I desire, 0 I use, 0 I know, 1 I believe.
那么，然后接下来我们用这些星座的关键词啊，我是0分，我有是0分，我想是，我思考是0分，我感受是1分，我的意志，我的意志是2分，然后我分析是2分，我平衡是1分，我渴望是4分，我理解是3分，我理解我的渴望，然后我使用是0分，我了解是0分，然后我的这个是信仰是1分。
It's superficial, it's just little keywords, but really these keywords are really the rulers, the rulerships.
那么这只是一些非常简单的这个形容词，但是这些形容词它代表的是这关键词，它代表的其实它是守护星。
Which we'll come to later. I feel is the moon, I will is the sun, I analyze is Mercury. You see, it's the rulerships that set these things.
那么这个关键词如何来的呢？都是守护星来的。比如说这个I feel 就是我感受就是月亮，那么I will 就是我的意志就是太阳，我分析就是水星。
So you see, with the 2 big ones, the I desire and I understand. So if she says, I desire you, and you say, I don't think so. She's got to try and understand, why not? Here I am.
那么如果说大家看一下，就是说这2个分数非常高的这2个分数，我渴望和我理解。如果他说我渴望你，但是你说不要靠近我，那么他会去想，他会理解为什么你不要我。
So I made these little stories, but every time you see something, make a little story that's a personal one. This could work like this. Oh, this is like this. You're taking it out of the symbol to the reality, and you're starting to walk into the reality of astrology.
那么我刚刚只是讲到一个非常小的一个情境啊，那么大家如果能够把这些符号能够演化成生命中的真实的情境的话，它能够让你更好的理解这一些，然后它也能够让这个占星学真正的鲜活起来，进入我们的生命。
So now you look, daylight increasing 1, darkness increasing 13.
大家可以看到说，日光见长的是1分，那么黑暗增长的是13分。
So here's a big report for you to do. I want it by next week. Okay? Just do it, please. So she'll go home and say, I need some help. Somebody do it with me. Who can I call? I need some advice. She don't want to do it by herself.
那么如果他的老板说，哎，你自己独立把这个事情完成吧啊，然后他就会说，那我不需要，我要回家，我要去，有谁会跟我一起完成呢？我需要跟别人一起工作，我需要有个团队，我需要有人跟我在一起。
So if she's with someone, just go do your own thing. Why? What's wrong?
那么如果有人跟他说，你就自己去做事情嘛，他会说为什么？到底什么出错了呢？
If you have a boss that piles the big pile of work on Friday afternoon, boom, I need this done right away. It's going to be a problem.
如果你的老板在周五下午的时候给你一大堆的这个文件让你去工作的话，那么这对你来说是一个非常大的问题。
Then if he comes in Monday with another pile, she's going to get behind. She's going to get behind. If you get one pile and you don't finish it, and another pile comes in and you don't finish that, it starts to be piling up.
那么如果他周一还是给他一大堆文件的话，他可能就没有办法完成这些工作。
But she'll then start thinking, what am I doing here? I gotta have something next. I'm going to be doing something next. This isn't where I'm staying.
他就会想说，哎，我这是在干什么？这不是我想干的，我要去干别的事情啊。
And the boss will probably be thinking the same thing.
那么他的老板也会有同样的这个顾虑。
So it's just a style. If it was the other way around, someone would be doing their own thing all the time,
那么如果
never
是
listening.
那么如果这就是一个人的这个能量和这个人的这个个性，如果说是另外一种能量的话，他可能会是非常开心自己独立做很多事情。
So as we're doing this, really when you do the sun, moon, ascendant, you can do you get 5 points, 2 points for the sun, and you go through these patterns. Get a first glimpse. Now you see if it's the same or different. We saw all the daylight darkness increasing. There's the 13 darkness increasing. It's showing the same thing as we saw with the sun, moon, and ascendant.
刚刚我们看到的日月升的话呢，只是有它这个数值的话只是5分，因为太阳和月亮都是2分。那么现在呢，我们把所有的分数都计算出来的时候，我们再可以重复的去核算一下这个我们刚刚在日月升看到的能量是不是正确。那么我们刚刚日月升看到它的这个日光增长是非常强的，那么在这儿也是一样的，黑夜增长是非常强的这个能量。
So darkness is greater 9, daylight is greater 5.
那么日长较长的是5分，夜昼较长的是9分。
This is not a big difference, but it's still significant.
那么它并不是一个非常大的区别，但是它也是有很强的含义的。
It's more important to belong, to be with someone, to be alone.
那么对他来说，归属于某一个人，归属于某一个事的话，对他来说，比单独自在一起更重要。
That doesn't mean she's always with someone. It could be, but when she's on her own doing her own thing, she's not going to be that comfortable. When she's doing something with someone, yes, the energy is going to be there.
那么这并不代表说他一定要跟某一个人在一起，而是说，如果他一个人做事的时候，他可能并不这么舒服。如果他是跟别人在一起做事的话，他会非常的舒服，能量会比较好一点。
Now, when you look at winter, spring, summer, fall, 1 winter, 0 spring, 5 summer, 8 fall.
然后我们看一下季节，冬天是1分，春天是0分，夏天是5分，秋天是8分。
Her world begins in the summer, and it gets more and more active all fall.
那么他的生命呢是开始于夏天，是非常的积极的能量，然后呢去做很多事情，然后到了秋天。
But in winter and spring, she's not that pumped. She's a little slower. Doesn't do as much.
那么冬天和春天的话呢，它可能就没有那么积极了，它可能没有像夏天和秋天做那么多的事情。
Stupid, simple little thing. Just a little thing. But it makes a difference if she's with someone that's really active in the fall, in the spring. Then he's really active when she's not. So you start setting up the nature, the boundaries of relationships and the boundaries of how you perform.
那么这是非常小的一个事情，但是也是很有意思啊。如果大家看一下，他如果跟一个在春天非常这个能量非常积极的人在一起的话，那么他们的关系会怎么样？那么它也会影响互相之间的关系。
So we're just cutting through the statistics, but it's giving us relevant little pieces of information.
那么我们现在就好像在做一些统计学的东西，但实际上每一个信息都会给我们增加这一个人的一个层面。
Not too technical, but still connected.
那么我们还是跟这个人能够连接在一起，通过这一些细节。
Then we look at cardinal 2, fixed 2, 6, mutable 6.
那么接下来是开创星座是2分，固定星座是6分，变动星座是6分。
She's really stubborn, but she can adapt.
那么他非常固执，但是他还是可以调试的。
Just don't leave her alone to have to get something done.
那么只要不要把他一个人待在那儿，扔在那儿，让他独自干活。
She doesn't have a strong drive and ambition. You have to push her.
他并没有这么强重的这个驱力，你需要去这个推动他。
Her parents will know that, trying to get her out of the house.
那么他的父母应该理解他是如何把他就是赶出家门的。
Why don't you get married? No, I don't really get married. Why do you?
你为什么不结婚呢？我还没准备好。
So this, if you know her, you're going to see she's consistently, this is the way she is, but she'll change. But don't ask her to push her, just drive. She has natural energies to be consistent and adjust when necessary.
那么，如果你理解他的话呢，就知道他是一个比较有这个长性的人。那么他也会去在适当的时候进行调试，只是不要去逼迫他，不要去强迫他，他会在适当的时候做出自己的调试的。
But to have a job and think, I got to push to be hired to get the raise, she's more likely to be thinking, I got the job, if I'm not getting the raise, I'm not going to push for it, so if it's not coming, I'm going to be looking for the next job.
那么就好像说他是一个，如果在工作中他工作很辛苦，然后他没有获得这个升职的话呢，他不会去强迫这个公司或者去让公司给他升职，但是更可能的话，他会去另外找一份其他的工作。
The boss would think, oh, she's consistent, she'll be there, you pay her, she'll hold in, and she'll adjust if she has to, and she won't be pushing to have to get more.
那么，他老板会认为他是一个非常有持续性、非常有诚信的人，他也不会去，那么他也会适应这个变化，他也不会去强迫去要求升职。
So I'm making a little story, a boss, but you can see it to a person, to a relationship, to a teacher, to kids. You can still see the same process coming in.
那么我只是刚刚把这个能量呢，就是通过一个这个职业或者是老板的关系演化出来。但其实同样的，就是说在生活中跟小孩、跟父母还是会有类似的能量互动的。
Even though she has a chart in the 5th house, a chart where she could really like kids, she's not going to push to have kids.
那么虽然他会有一个非常喜欢小孩的星盘，但他不会去强迫自己去硬要生一个小孩。
She'll wait and she'll adjust if she has to.
那么他会等待，如果他需要改变的时候，他会去调节，就是到他该改变的时候，他会调节。
So what happens if she has a really driving boyfriend that wants to have a kid?
那么如果想象一下，那么他有一个非常强势的这个男朋友或者老公，非常想要一个小孩，会发生什么呢？
Not yet, not yet, not yet. No, no, no.
还没到时间，还没到时间，还没到时间。
Many times she says, no, he's driving more.
一旦他说不的话，那个男人更就是要求更猛了。
So we see almost the mechanics of a relationship before we even got into comparing charts or anything else.
那我们可以通过就是说这样的一些能量，就是可以看到人和人之间的互动。在我们还没有看比较盘的时候，我们都可以看到这个能量，人和人的互动。
It's like music, simple patterns in drumming, simple beat. It's better than really complicated fast beats.
那么就好像是音乐一样的，那些简单的这些调子，那些简单的这个谱子，其实它是比那些复杂的曲调更有力量。
So don't ever be embarrassed. They're just simple insights and simple things. You don't have to prove you know everything.
你不需要证明你知道懂得所有的东西，只要你能够跟这些简单的东西进行工作，你就会获取很多的信息。
Do your friends' charts and talk to each other. Is that true for you? Is that true for you? Like, what do you think? That's great. That's interesting. And you know them already, but it gives you something to talk about that extends it, and you get feedback that just will confirm this.
那么就跟你的这个身边的朋友的这个星盘去运作，你理解他们，你了解他们，你可以跟他们去谈话，然后呢，去这些星盘的这些能量呢，就能活生生的呈现在你的面前。你可以通过这个方法来学习。
The first 5,000-10,000 charts that I did, consultations I did, is before computers.
那么我做的这个大概有5000张到1万张的星盘是在这个电脑盛行之前的，在电脑流行之前的。
Have to hand calculate every planet, every aspect, count all of these. I typed it all up, and I would talk to someone. I'd give them the report. It would take 10 hours preparation.
那么，那个时候呢，那个时期呢，我需要去手工的去绘画这个星盘，我需要去把每个行星的这个度数画出来，它在宫位的位置画出来，它们之间的角度、相位要画出来。那么我手工制作这个星盘也花10个小时，就是做准备。
When computers first came in, I was doing radio shows, and the people tell me their time, and I would say something. I could do the calculations in my head faster than a computer could.
那么当那个就是说电脑盛行以后呢，我其实也那个时期呢，我也做了很多这个电台的节目。那么在这个电台录音节目的时候，有访谈的时候，很多人打电话进来，我当时是用这个心理表，然后每个人进来的时候，我都用脑子在计算这些星图。
Just looking at the ephemeris, here's the line numbers, here's here, oh this is there, and I would just go from that.
我只用这个心理表就能帮这个人去解读他的星盘了。
So you go with whatever information you can get. You may know someone, you know their birthday. You don't know anything else.
你只需要去根据你自己了解的这个现有的这些因素或者这些信息去工作就可以了。
If it's a woman, they may not want to tell you their age.
你只需要去知道他们的生日。如果是一个女性的话，她不愿意告诉你出生的年份。
So you can guess they're about this age. So these things, certain aspects are going on.
那么你可以猜测出来，他们大概是什么样的年纪，所以他们的这些大概是拥有哪些行星的相位。
If you know the date someone's on, you know where their sun is to a degree.
你知道这个人出生的这个日期的话，你就知道这个人太阳的度数在哪里。
So then, if you know where the transits are right now, you can say, oh, they're going through this just from their sun.
那么你如果知道当现下的这个天空的这个星象的话，你知道行运的这个行星对太阳的影响的话，你就知道他现在在经历些什么。
Without knowing anything else, you get significant, meaningful information.
即使不知道所有的信息，你还是能够了解这个人非常重要的生命的一些事件。
So the pressure to understand it all, put it all together, get lost, it's a damage.
那么对于很多占星师来说，他的压力和挑战就是他好像要知道所有的事情，但其实这对他解读会有一个伤害。
Usually, you slow it down one planet at a time.
通常的话呢，我们就是让自己放缓脚步，
One guy at a time. One marriage at a time.
一次一个男人，一次一个婚姻，
One mother-in-law at a time.
一次一个丈母娘。
Same thing. And you get the plan, you do, you get into it. It's like that.
然后就是一步一步，然后有步骤的、有计划的解读。
So now, 5 fire, 1 air, 2 earth, 6 water.
那么5个火元素，1个风元素，两个土元素和6个水元素。
All this fire, no drive.
那么所有的都是火元素。
It's stubborn fire. Ta-da, I got the best dress on. Here I am. I got the attention. This is it.
这是不值得火元素。我有最美丽的衣服，我是最值得骄傲的。
With that Leo moon, she's never going to dress sloppy and just come second base, just sit in the back. She'll never do that. She'll never dress sloppy. She'll always dress up and be noticed.
那么因为他是那个月亮狮子座的，他永远不会穿得非常糟糕，他永远都要盛装打扮出席任何场合。
If you don't get impression, if you don't get noticed, you don't have to drive it. You just have to package it properly.
那么你需要受到这个关注，你需要受到这些目光瞩目。
This is the style. Some people have it. Some people work differently. Some women are just pushy. You're it. Let's get married. Let's go.
这就是他的风格。有一些女性就是不一样，她可能会说：“我要跟你结婚，我要结婚，我要进入婚姻。”
Some people are all mutable and should be this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, or that guy.
那么有些人所以都是变动的元素，他可能会说：“哎呀，这个男人，那个男人，有那么多男人，我不知道怎么选择了。”
So you push, you wait, or you choose.
你推动，然后你等待，然后你选择。
Because when it's mutable, how can you hurt? If 5 guys love you, how can you hurt anybody?
如果你是变动星座的话，如果有5个男人同时爱上你，你怎么可以伤害其中的任何一个人呢？
This is just the funny little puzzles, but they're real things that affect their lives.
这就是人生的一些有趣的面相，但它就是这么活生生的影响着我们的生命。
And they make us different from each other.
那么他们互相之间也是不同的。
So first thing you want to see is how different your parents were from what you were.
那么就好像说，你的父母跟你也是有这么大的不同，
Or your kids.
或者你和你的小孩也是有这么大的不同。
How could we have bad kids?
我们怎么可能会有这个小孩呢？生出这样的小孩呢？
So, but here, fire and water, not air, don't communicate that much.
那么
Not too practical.
那么火元素和水元素缺少风元素，并不会沟通那么多，或者是说并没有这么的实际。
It's about emotional intensity and feeling, and then fun.
这是激烈的情绪，情绪的激烈，然后就是享受快乐。
You could go at this every time you get little different ideas about the fire and water, but both are emotional. Fire is emotional. Water is counting points emotional.
那么火和水其实都是非常情绪化的，火是那种激烈的那种外向的情绪化，或者是说那些外向的情绪化。那么水元素呢，就是情绪的那种情绪。
So she is not. This is a very dramatic person. She's going to be dramatic, fiery, dramatic emotionally. Oh yes, this is wonderful. Oh no! Everything's going to be alive and emotional and dramatic. It's not going to be rational. It's not going to be practical. It's going to be alive, emotional.
那么任何事情对他来说都是具有活力的、具有情绪化的，或者是一些基于情感性的或者戏剧性的。他并不是那种逻辑性的人。
So someone with a bold heart that's always want to do something for others, that's born in the mood phase, that's trying to get out of here to get the next thing started, who's very dramatic and wants to be noticed and make things happen, and not rational or practical. This can be fun, but to a parent it's dangerous.
那么这个人就是他，好像就是某一面的能量那么强烈，永远想去做另外一面，就是他的这个外形。然后呢，他总是想要结束什么东西，想要开始新的一些体验。那么就是他的月相。然后呢，他又是这么的情绪化，那么激烈，情感这么激烈，然后又并不这么逻辑，并不是这么的理性。那么对于他的这个小孩来说，对于这个人，如果他是一个小孩，对他父母来说是非常挑战的。
So it's not likely she would marry the accountant or the bureaucrat.
那么她不大可能去嫁一个这个审计员，或者是一个会计师，或者是一个非常呆板的人。
If she did, she would make his life very colorful and very cautious, and she'd be having a good time.
那么，如果她嫁了那样的一个人的话呢，让她生命多姿多彩，也许是一件好事。但是在她的那个公司派对上，她可能就是会担心，因为这个老婆她喝得过多。
So don't be afraid to imagine little stories of how this could work. It could be like this. It may not be the real story, but it's close enough that it's in this way it's playing it. Oh, it's this way it's playing it. And you get closer to how someone works.
那么，不要害怕去在自己脑子里去构思这些画面，或者构思这些人生的故事和情节。虽然它可能不一定完全就是这个人生命中发生的事情，但是它那种比喻性的含义已经足够代表说可能性了。
So the next one, 6 masculine, 8 feminine.
那么6分是这个阳性的，和8分是阴性的。
A little more reflective
那么
than projective.
那么它像稍微多一点的这个回馈性，相对于那种就是投射性的能量，它更多的是回馈性。
So usually it still means if you want to get a response from her, don't wait. She's going to want to wait, and you're going to have to push to get it.
那么这通常就意味着说，如果你想要得到他的回馈，你不可能立刻得到，可能他需要等一下再给你这个回馈。
But it's correct that she should be reflecting.
那么他给你回馈他是会给你回馈的。
Anytime she's being forced to push too fast, it's not her element.
如果任何时候他被逼的，或者他被就是说推动的太快的话，但这并不是他的一个主要的能量。
If she had a coach that's trying to push her, rather than to stabilize her, increase her, work with the capacity that she has, it wouldn't be a good match.
I'm sorry.
If she had a coach, like in sports or teams, and the coach is trying to push her, it's the wrong approach.
那么如果说他有一个，就是说，如果假设他是一个运动员，他有个教练的话，那么这个教练总是不停的去催促他、逼迫他，或者是说去推动他，那么催促他，那么这并不是一个对他来说是一个正确的教练，适合他的教练。
So if you have a bunch of kids in a class, and you have one person like that, you're not going to direct all your attention to that person. She'll pick up what she picks up. You'll work with the pushy ones, or you just get to know the class and what each person needs.
那么就好像说你教授一个课堂的话呢，你需要知道，你需要去就是顾及所有人的这些需求。
When you're being you, and you're being your processes, you're happier, you're more fulfilled, you're more alive.
当你成为你自己，成为你自己的能量的时候，你会变得更开心，你就会好像更有成就感，活得更加具有力量。
It's not how should I be when I find my boy, or my boyfriend, or whatever. It's more like I need to be me, and if I'm being me, I'll attract someone that likes me for me.
那么就好像是说，我不应该这样去思维，说我应该成为那样的一个人，或者成为一个更好的人，那么我才能够找到我喜欢的人，而是应该是说，我就应该成为我自己，当我成为快乐的自己的时候，我吸引的那个人他爱的就是那个真正的我。
So that can be scary at 35.
那么在35岁的时候，这可能会让人觉得听上去有点恐怖。
I'm still waiting for my guy.
我还在寻找我的另一半。
More likely, I have the kid, I'm busy, I gotta do this, I can do this. And it more likely crystallizes because her nature is more to be at home and be teaching the kids and learning from that than going out working in the business.
那么因为对他的那个就是他对他的能量来说呢，他更倾向于是说待在家里，然后教育小孩，享受家庭生活，而不是说过于的把这个所有的精力都放在工作上。
In today's world, everybody has to work.
那么在现今的时代呢，所有人都需要去工作。
So she would work at creative things, artistic things, personal things, not so much just bureaucratic things.
他更倾向于去做一些非常有创意的、非常有艺术性的一些工作，而不是那些比较这个官僚主义的工作。
The more skills, the more talent she works on and builds up, the richer she becomes, the more valuable to other people.
那么，当他拥有更多的这个更开发自己的天赋、更开发自己的这个艺术面向的时候呢，他就会变得更强壮，他将会吸引更多的财富和资源。
So I'm getting this a little bit because you look at the chart, you sort of notice, and you see the bundle type things are below, you notice the sun's in this house, you just glance at it, it sits there. But we haven't really worked it yet. We haven't looked at each planet, I think, but we're still looking at general factors. But it clears the way, it opens up certain things. As soon as you see something with a planet or an aspect that's going differently than this, you know it's a conflict in the nature.
那么，其实现在我们还是没有开始，就是说，讲到就是行星啊，或者是说这些行星在什么星座啊，或者是相位啊等等。但是呢，这些都已经帮我们打开了很多的这个面向，很多的这些道路。当我们去接下来再继续去深入的时候，如果我们发现一个主要的行星相位跟刚刚讲到的能量是有冲突的，那我们就知道说它内在的能量是有一些冲突的。
So your own common sense. You look at the numbers, you go through the steps, you make your own common sense thinking about it. That's better than remembering what I said.
那么，当在座的各位大家对这些能量都有自己的理解或者自己的这些体悟的话呢，那么你们的理解、你们的表达应该是比我讲的更好的。
Yeah, I could be lying.
我可能是在欺骗你。
Or how do I know what Chloe's saying? She could be making up a totally different story.
我怎么能相信那个洛伊翻译的是完全是我所说的呢？
This is just the anchor, a way in to getting to know someone.
这好像就是一个像开启一样的，就像一个锚一样的，我们去上岸了，我们了解这样的一个人。
It's funny. Everybody's so different. It's kind of funny, but we all take it so personally.
那么，每一个人都是不一样的，这多么有趣！
I mean, if you tell a Capricorn that's really serious, really practical, you don't know how to play, do you? What do you mean I don't know how to play? I can play chess.
就好像你对那个摩羯座说，你非常的严肃，你非常的这个谨慎，那么你根本不知道如何享乐。然后摩羯座就会说，你怎么知道我不会享乐？我会下棋。
I'm in the mahjong team.
我会玩麻将。
So, but it doesn't mean that's different type of play. So, by differences, first. So when you're looking, even when the sun, moon, ascendant, the first look, you're thinking, how do I relate to that? You're already thinking your own, and they do it differently from me. Well, look at that.
那么即使是我们看到日月升这些能量的话，我不会想说，它跟我有什么区别？这些能量跟我的能量有什么区别？它会怎么样？
It's simple. One step at a time. You just take the time to go through it. The minute you rush and you leave something out, you lose something.
那么这是非常解读星盘是非常简单的，我们就是一个步骤一个步骤的来。一旦我们去过于着急，或者是说跳过一些步骤的话，我们就会缺失一些信息，这个时候我们就输了。
Oh, Mars is in Aries. It's in the 7th house. You must be impulsive and fast in marriage. That may be so, but you miss data. It's increasing. You're trying to be more independent as part of a team. You miss a whole lot of pieces of information that are so important.
那么，如果就好像说，如果你看到那个火星在白羊座在7宫，你好像觉得这个人的婚姻就是那种冲动型的，他会冲动的进入婚姻。但是，如果你没有看到他的这些日光是增长的话，那么他的这个趋势是趋向于更多的自由、更多的独立的话，那么你也会下一个非常错误的结论。所以，我们要把所有的这些信息都要结合在一起去看。
Doing someone's chart and talking to them is more intimate than having sex.
那么。为一个人解读一个星盘，他的感受，这种亲密度，可能我认为比这个做爱更亲密吧。
You're getting sensitive to the other person, them to you, and if you're going to work it, you can take a week. Each night, one night you do the first these few steps, get through the numbers. Next night you take one planet, next night you take another planet, and you get to know each part of them on a separate night.
那么，就因为解读每个人星盘的时候，我们会在那个非常敏感、非常精微的、非常亲密的这个层次去跟这个人进行交流，然后我们是需要说做非常充分的准备，就好像我们如果真的要去解读了解一个人的话，就要每一个晚上 去花一点时间去把这个人这个星体那个星体就一步一步的理解，然后再把它们串起来。
Then you're secure. Oh, I've covered these different layers of this person.
然后你就安全了，因为你把这个人所有的能量都过了一遍。
You may not know, but you've done it. You've touched it. You spent some time there.
虽然你不知道，但是你每一步都做过了，你这些能量的这个感受都已经收集齐全了。
Then when you spend a night or so on transits, one planet at a time, and you start seeing what's touching that. Oh, it's there. Wow, that's different than just talking words.
那么，如果大家学到进阶的话，就会看到说行运的行星，哎呀，它触发了这个本命的这颗行星，哇，原来它是把这个能量带出来的，这个能量原来是真实的。
So I'm here. I've got to do. Chloe's making me work. I got to do 5 sessions a day. Normally I do 1 a day.
那么我来到这里，就是 Chloe 让我就是干很多活啊，然后我一天要解读5个星盘，通常我一天只会做1个咨询，现在我一天要做5个咨询。
So I've already done an hour or 2's work on each one before I came here. I sent it to Chloe.
Sorry.
I already did an hour or more work in preparation before I came here.
对，所以他这些每个咨询的这个星盘，他个案的话呢，在来之前都已经每个人都花1-2个小时都做过准备的。
And I'll be spending 2 or 3 hours every night going through each one, being prepared for the next day.
然后他在咨询之前呢，他还会花2到3个小时去把每个个案的信息过一遍。
It's just necessary prerequisites for intimacy or being able to have my half of the relationship together.
因为就是在这样亲密的去交流的时候，去解读的时候，你需要去做到这个就是把所有的这些细节和周密都要去顾及到。
So there's so many ways you can apply astrology, so many different levels. Everyone is valid. Just slow it down. Don't be afraid to use one piece of information and stay there. If it's meaningful, you stay on that point and talk to someone. If it takes an hour, that's fine.
那么，每个人都有不同的这个占星的方法或占星的技法，但是这也没有关系。但是呢，对于每一位来说，大家不要去害怕，也不要去就是因为这个信息是非常简单的，大家就不用害怕去使用。只要你觉得这个信息是有价值的，你可以就这个非常简单的信息跟对方聊1个小时。
It's easy to look at the worst thing in someone's chart and say, "Oh, this is terrible. You have that," and you scare the person. And they say, "Well, I'm scared. What do I do? What do I do?" And they're begging you for information, and you don't know what you're talking about.
那么非常危险的一件事情就是说，你看到一个人的星盘，然后你看到他最糟糕的这个面相，你就说，哎呀，你太糟糕了，你这个命太不好了。那么这会让这个人产生非常大的恐惧，但是那个人就会问你说，我该怎么办？我该怎么办？而你又一无所知、一无所措的话，那对他来说是一个非常大的伤害。
If you're going to say something about the dark side or the difficult things, which you will see, you have to see what's healing or how someone's going to work through it to make it real.
那么，如果你将要看到一个人的黑暗面或者他的非常大的挑战面的时候，当然我们接下来也会看到。那么你需要知道的是说，如何才对他来说是一个疗愈？别人是如何走过这个时期的，跳过这个黑暗的。
If you tell someone you're never going to meet a reliable man and you can never make the right choices, you just leave it at that. They're ready to jump.
那么，如果你跟这个人说，你永远不会遇到一个好的男人，永远不会有一个好的婚姻。当你跟他再见的时候，他可能马上就要去跳楼了。
At the same time, because you have that or because you haven't had a kid, you may go and save the lives of many children.
但是也有可能说，因为这样的一个人，他可能一直没有找到对象，或者他没有能力生孩子。但是就是因为这样，他可以去解救千万人的生命。
Everybody has a special destiny.
每一个人都有他们自己非常特殊的一个使命和命运。
It's not always what our parents and teachers condition us to be.
那么这并不是每一个人命运，并不是每一个家长和每一个老师他告诉我们应该成为什么样子的人。
But for some people, that works perfectly. The parents' teachers all works perfect. Didn't for me.
对有些人来说，家长的教育和学校的教育，对他们来说非常管用，但对我来说一点用也没有。
If you're here in this class, the system didn't work well for you already.
那么如果大家在这个课堂，大家也能够理解这一点。
You're already strange. You're already different. You're not fitting in. You're trying to figure out why.
你如果来到这个课堂的话，大家已经每个人都有一个非常特别的这一面，学习占星，你已经有一部分人已经不能理解你了。
어렵죠.
So the last point here is the rulerships. The rulerships are really significant. That it's kind of like a guiding angel that's watching over how things work properly for that sign.
那么最后的就是守护星。那么守护星是非常非常重要的一个信息，它好像就是那一个星座的这一个守护天使一样。
You could have Mars in Scorpio, it has terrible aspects in that, or say let's put Mars in Capricorn, it has terrible aspects, but if you're responsible and you're in the right relationship to Saturn and you let Saturn guide your actions, you'll be protected.
那么如果好像你的这个你的摩羯座的这个行星的相位呢，都是非常的挑战的，全都是挑战的相位，好像你有一个坏的这个行星。但是如果说你的土星你非常有责任感的话，那么土星它就是你的守护天使，你有责任感的话，你也会很好的去处理这个挑战。
It takes time for doing charts to begin to see that. It takes time to begin to see the rulers and their presence watching. It's like the ancestors watching over us.
那么这个你需要花一些时间和耐心的去看到这个守护星的这个守护天使的概念，也就好像说我们的祖先、我们的这个父辈，他们都是在照耀着我们，他们都在保佑着我们一样。
If you have your Venus in Cancer and you don't take care of home and you're not trying to be caring or nurturing, you're going to have trouble with your Venus.
如果你的金星在巨蟹的话，如果你不照料好自己的饮食，你不照料好自己的家的话，那么你也会遇到金星的麻烦。
And we all know in ourselves, this would be better, this wouldn't be better.
因为我们在自己的内心都知道什么是好的，什么是不好的，对我们来说。
But do we listen to that voice?
但是我们真的会倾听我们内心的声音吗？
Well, it depends if it's Friday night or Monday morning.
那么这可能也许周五的晚上或者周一的早上，它情况完全不同。
Some people live in very different pockets. One pocket here, one Pisces especially. They're no one person. They're this way with one person. They're this way with another person. They're this way with another person, and they're totally different with each person.
那么很多人他这个对每个人的这个表现都是不一样的，特别是双鱼座，他可能对这个人表现的是这个面相，那个人表现出那个面相，就好像变色龙一样。
The only way to get to know them is have a party and compare notes. She's like that with you. She's never like that with me. She's like that with you. Oh my goodness! And you start, and then the Pisces starts going, oh my! Everybody starts knowing all the different secrets, all the different pockets.
那么对那个认识一个双鱼座最好的方法就是让他们把他所有的朋友都邀请到一个派对，然后让他们的朋友互相去沟通，说，哎，你认识的这个人是怎么样的？我认识的这个人是怎么样？哎呀，他原来是这样的，就好像是说，他每一个面相都会收集在一起。那么这个时候双鱼座就会很担心，哎呀，你把我所有的秘密都知道了。
But it's still important for the Pisces to have many pockets. That's their life. That's what makes the magic happen.
那么但是对于双鱼座来说，对他们拥有不同的这些神秘的面相也是非常重要的，这就是他们的魔力所在。
You may not have that, and that's how some live like that. Someone might just have one pocket. This is it. I'm just going this way.
那么人和人都是不一样的，某一些人他就是始终如一的，但是对于双鱼座来说，他就是这种不同的面相。
That would be trouble for a Pisces.
那么如果始终如一的话，对于双鱼座来说，可能会让他永远这样，会造成他的麻烦。
If you're with a guy and you want to have work, you want to have home, you want to travel, and he just wants to do one thing, it's going to be a challenge.
如果你想象一下，你遇到一个男人，他想要去，如果你想要去旅游，想要去结婚，想要有房子，又要想要教育，但是你的男人只想做一件事情，那么你们之间也会遇到麻烦。
So to get the two points for the sun, that's the moon and Leo. 2 points. The sun rules the moon.
那么太阳是2分，因为这个太阳守护的是月亮，就是月亮星座的那个就是狮子座，所以是2分。
The ascendant, 1 point, Cancer ascendant. In Cancer, the ascendant, the personality is ruled by the moon.
那么上升星座的这个守护星是月亮，所以它的这个分数是1分。
So she may be stubborn and fixed, but she's going to take everything personally.
他也许是固执的，他也许是那样的这个固执的一个人，但是他可能会把所有的都比较个人化，都认为是跟自己有关。
That's the Cancer ascendant, and it's the mother and the moon. All these things are so personal. It's going to be there. So Mercury has 2.
那水星有2分。
That's the Mars and Venus and Virgo.
那么这是这个守护的是这个火星和这个 火星和金星在这个处女座。
So when it comes to men or women, sex, passion, or satisfaction, she's going to be fussy.
那么当男人女人自己的这个满足度或者满意度或者感情的话呢，他可能会这个时候会有一些挑剔。
So she may be passionate with all that 4 points, stubborn Scorpio, but with the Mercury, she's thinking about it.
那么，因为他有水星的这个思维的这个分析的能量，虽然他有这些激情，但是他对这些东西他还会去分析。
When it's good, that's really interesting thinking. When it's bad, that's trouble.
如果是好的话，那么这是非常好的正向的思维；但是如果是不好的话，他可能这就是有些负面的想法。
So Venus rules one planet.
金星守护一个星座。
Pluto in Libra.
冥王星在天秤座。
So you don't go too far. Just looking at the numbers. Mars rules 4 points ruled by Mars. That's the Scorpio.
火星有守护4个星座。
4 points. The Sun, Mercury, and Saturn. All in Scorpio. So what am I going to do? What do I have to do? It's like, what's my responsibilities? Where's my power? I'm into doing it. I want to make something happen.
就好像我该做什么，我的力量是什么，我要做什么，我要实现什么事情。太阳和这个土星，都是在这个摩羯座的。
But she's not driving. She's stubborn, but it's still Mars. So the idea of what's courageous, what's noble. If you're not happy or if you're depressed in a job, do you have the courage to say no? Because I'm going to go.
那么就好像这是你的行为，你的活力。如果你在这个工作中你感到非常的抑郁，你有这个勇气去辞职吗？
A question often says more than a statement.
一个问题永远对相对于一个陈述来说，一个提问更加有力量。
So you don't say you're like this. Say, what do you do with this energy? How does this work? Or are you like this? And all of a sudden you get all the information you need.
你不是去定义这个人说你是这样的，你是这样的，你是那样的，而是说，你是这样的吗？你感觉这样吗？
So whenever you're interpreting someone's chart and you get that blank, you don't know what to say, ask a question.
当大家面对一个星盘不知道去解读什么的时候，我建议大家去问问题吧。
It saves everything. It just gets you through that.
一旦问题敞开的话，我们就会有源源不断的这个对话和信息进来。
Jupiter is four planets too.
那么木星也是四分。
So this is from the beginning you have the I desire and I understand and the I believe, which is Jupiter.
那么开始的时候就是我渴望，然后我理解和我信仰的都是木星相关的。
3 points in Sag, 1 point in Pisces.
那么
4 points in understanding.
3分在这个射手座，1分在这个双鱼座。
So her big planets, her big rulerships, Mars 4. I gotta do things. This is what I'm doing. She has a strong sense of what has to be done or what I'm doing, or don't get in my way when I'm doing something. She has that, but she has an equally strong need to understand what's right and wrong.
那么他有非常强的这个信念，说我要做什么事情，我要去做这个事情，我要成就某些事情。但他另外又有非常强的区域，就是说我需要知道我所做的是对的还是错的，好的还是坏的。
So this loosely translated comes out as, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. Uh-oh, what am I doing here? She's doing somewhere and then she realizes, uh-oh, I shouldn't be here. What am I doing here? Then the understanding comes in.
那么当他的理解他的理解进来的时候，进入他的头脑的时候，他就会想，哦，我在干什么？哦，我这样做对吗？哎呀，怎么会这样？
So if your understanding is good and you follow it, it will guide the Mars.
如果你的理解是对事物的理解是好的，是正向的，那么它就会指引你的火星。
But when you're young and your understanding isn't necessarily good, your father will pull his hair out.
那么如果你年轻的时候，你的理解并不是正确的话，你可能会遭遇麻烦。
So this is just, you can't, it's not infinite, it's just touching the surface of, you're seeing the tips of all the waves on the ocean.
那么这好像就是我们还是在触及这个表面，在这个海洋的表面有很多的暗示给我们。
So now we've taken a little journey over basic things.
那么刚才呢，我们就是一个非常小的旅程，我们是看到了把这些基础的东西都过了一遍。
But these points are all to do with the signs.
那么这些行星呢，这些分数呢，都是和星座相关的，
With attitudes.
就是代表着我们的态度。
And if you don't have a time You don't use the houses, you don't have the ascendant or the midheaven, you have 12 points instead of 14 points.
那么如果我们没有具体的出生时间的话，我们就没有上升点和这个天顶的这2分，但是我们还是有其他的分数的。
And all of these will still give you pretty much the same picture.
那么这个表格还是可以把这个人的这个基本的能量和态度给描绘出来的。
So you can go this far easily without knowing someone's birth time.
那么在目前为止，我们走了那么远，我们还是没有，就是我们不需要了解这个人的这个出生信息就可以走这么远，了解这么多信息。
If you get the birth time, it adds a few little things. You can go over it, and it gives you more information.
如果你知道这个人详细的出生信息的话，我们可以再加一点点那个出来，但是它变化也不会特别大。我们还是可以还是可以通过这个了解。
So it's just common sense. You see it? So I'm trying to set a standard. You can work like this. You don't have to be so serious about everything. You don't have to know. You just look, oh, look at this. Oh, look at this. And if you don't know, you're curious. You're going to ask the person, or you're going to watch to see how that is.
那么我这里只是建立了一个标准，那么大家可以通过这个来指引你们的这个分析的这个方法。那么当大家开始并不熟悉的时候，或者并不有信心的时候，大家还是可以开始去通过问问题去了解这个能量。那么他这个能量是否和他这个星盘的这些相应的？
So when someone comes in for a consultation, their husband just left them, the boss just fired them. She doesn't know where she's going to be next week, or where she's going to live, or what's going to happen. She's coming to see you.
怎么办？你不能对他说你就跳楼吧。
It means you have to rebuild your whole life again.
那么这意味着你需要重新的再去重建你的生命、你的生活。
Now, if you're going to rebuild it, and you use your chart to rebuild these things just in the way they're supposed to be, wow, how much more can you do?
那么，如果你能够用你的星盘按照你本来应该是的样子去重新建立你的这个生命，那么这将是多大的一个魔法，这将是多美妙的一件事情。
The difficulty then is that the person's in shock and living in the memories in the past of what happened to them, and not looking forward to what's ahead.
那么，最大的困难呢是在于，是说这个人他是在这个生命的这个最艰难的时刻，他在这种非常恐惧的时刻呢，他可能是生活在他的过去的，他抓住那个过去，他所看不到的是他未来的那个样子，未来的走向。
So if someone's going to leave you, if your husband takes off and you're destroyed or disrupted, it's good to find out. You're lucky to know. Good riddance. But then it means, you mean I have to do this myself?
那么，通常来说，如果你的这个丈夫他离开了你，也可能是对你来说是一件好事，因为他可能开启了你生命的新的篇章，但可能对你来说，你还是会认为说，什么？你认为我要自己重新开始吗？
So it's where you come in. It's like if you buy a computer. You buy a computer now in 5 years, in 3 years, it's too old. But if you wait 3 years, you missed a whole lot. So you go in, someone comes into astrology, someone comes to get their chart done, and you look for advice. But if you make the advice, if you anchor the advice in how the person's supposed to be in their natal chart, you're helping to rebuild or build better or extend themselves better. And if you're being more or better yourself, you'll attract better people. There'll be less miscommunications. So someone can be really strong, think nobody will love me if that's strong, I better play this down, I'll just be sweet. Okay, you do that, you get controlled by someone.
那么就好像是说，对于一份感情的话，如果就像买电脑，如果你这个买了这个电脑，可能3、5年它就是过时了。但是如果你不买的话，你会错过这个电脑时代。但是呢，就好像那个人他来，当这个人个案来咨询的时候，就好像那个时候你帮助他去重新去建设自己的这个生命，你帮助他去按照自己本来的样子去建设他的生命。当他真正的去活出他自己的时候，他会吸引真正的爱着他原本自己的这个人，他会吸引正确的人到他的生命来。就好像如果有一个人他是非常强壮的、非常强大的，但是呢他为了寻找关系，他把自己变得非常弱小，变得非常甜美。
Then a crisis happens, and you take control because you're stronger.
那么那个时候呢，对方就会控制你。但是呢，当这个危机来临的时候，你要自己去抓住这个主动权。
Then the guy doesn't know what hit him. You've always been weak. You're taking control. How can this be? Big war.
那么这个时候，这个男人他就会非常震惊，因为你好像是这么弱，他好像从来没有看到过你这么强大的一面。那么你会有斗争。
If you're strong, be strong. If he can't take the heat, he's not the one.
如果你是强大的，那么就是要展示你自己强大的一面。如果他没有办法就是忍受你这个强大的一面，那么他就不是你真正的男人。
but we play games with ourselves with all these factors. And this way, I don't want to be this way. I'll play it this way. I don't want to be the Scorpio. I'll try and be the Taurus. And you can try. You can do it, but you're not going to be happy.
那么我们好像就是在跟自己玩这个游戏。我不想成为这个人，我不想成为我真正的自己。我不是天蝎座，我要做一个金牛座。如果你是可以玩这个游戏的，但是你会产生非常严重的后果。
So when you build up something that isn't you and it all falls apart, this is devastating, this is terrible, it's really good luck.
那么，当你自己在那里伪装自己，在那里欺骗自己的时候，不是做自己的时候，那么你建设了自己的这个人生。当某一点你的生命坍塌的时候，这是一件好事。
It's waking you up to your own destiny and it's saying you have something else to do.
那么，这是你自己的命运在唤醒你的时刻，他在告诉你说，你真正应该做的是谁。
But I don't want to grow up. I like to be spoiled. I like to get everything. And I'm going to have to go work now.
可是通常一个人的反应说，我不要这样，我不要这样，我还要我的老公来养我，我还要他宠我，我不要去做我自己。
You didn't jump. Okay, so this is the first part. Second part, just simple little things.
这就是那个第一步，前面的几个步骤啊，这是非常简单的，但是也是非常有效的。
What time is it? 10 to 12. Okay, perfect. Okay. So now we have to do the points in the houses.
那么接下来我们要去计算这个宫位带来的分数啊。
When you do the points in the houses, you don't count the ascendant or the midheaven. They're part of the houses.
那么当我们这个计算宫位的时候，我们会去算上升和天顶，因为这个它就是宫位，它们俩就是宫位的一部分。
So it's above, how many points above, how many points below the horizon?
那么有多少分数是在地平线之上的？有多少分数是在地平线之下的？
How many points rising, how many points setting?
那么有多少分数是在这个行星升起的一边和在下降的那一边？
So whether you're projecting or whether you're reacting, which is more important?
你是投射的还是回馈的？哪一个能量对你更重要？
This is all dependent on your time of birth.
那么这都基于你出生的时间。
So if you don't know your time of birth at all, it's questionable if you should use this.
那么如果你完全不知道自己出生的时间的话呢，对，可能不知道是否应该用这个体系的话，还是一个问题，就是计算宫位的这个分数。
If you know it within an hour or two, it's worth trying, and there might be one or two things that change as you get your time closer.
那么如果说是出生时间相差1-2个小时的话，也可以值得尝试。但是如果是出生时间就是差异更小的话，那么就是尝试的话就更没有问题了。
So you got above, below, rising, setting, then the 4 quadrants.
然后接下来就是4个象限。
Intuition, feeling, sensation, thinking.
那么就是你的这个直觉、情绪、感知和思维。
We haven't worked on the signs of the houses this week, and I chose to work on the planets because a beginner becomes to see it, and an advanced person could still benefit by it, and it's something everyone needs to work with.
那么我这次工作坊选择的是行星的话呢，是因为就是说初阶的同学呢也可以去很好的学习，然后高阶的同学呢也可以了解新的面向。那么我没有讲这个星座，因为星座会比较初阶一点点。
And after the class, if you leave a message with Chloe, we'll try and get a PDF of these files so you can have a copy of all these files.
那么下课的话，就是我们会把这个就是今天的这个教材发给大家 ，PPT 发给大家。
Okay, so after intuition, after the quadrants, and you look at the houses. Houses of self or fire, of concern or earth, of relationships, of reward. How many points in each house?
那么159宫呢，就是自我的这个宫位，那么它也是代表火象的。那么260呢，是代表就是你的关心的一些东西，它是土象的。3711呢是关于关系的这个宫位，它是风象的。然后482呢是关于这个回馈的奖励的，那么它是水象的宫位。
And then how angular, succeeding, cadent.
那么就是接下来呢就是角宫、序宫和中宫。
Now, when you go to the houses, something different happens. You start watching them, and they're either going to be reinforcing and showing the same as the signs, or you're going to have to start to see, oh, that's different than the signs.
那么，当我们进入这个宫位这个体系的话，那么一件非常有趣的事情就发生了。要 为我们发现的这个能量呢，它是和刚刚之前的这个星座的能量是相协调的、相一致的，要么就是不一致的。
So this is just really useful thing. It's just coming into the texture of how it is.
那么这也是非常有用的、有价值的。
So for this part, you have to enter how many points in each house.
那么在这儿呢，你要去输入每一个宫位是几分。
Nothing in the first house. 2 points in the second house.
一宫是0分，2宫是2分。
2 points in the third house.
3宫是2分。
Pluto, is it in the fourth? Is it in the fourth? I think so. No, nothing in the fourth.
4宫0分。
But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points in the fifth house.
5宫是5分。
3 points in the sixth house. You don't count the nodes; they're not a planet.
6宫是3分，我们不把这个就是虚点，就是焦点、月亮焦点放在里面，因为它是虚点。
The nodes are a sensitive point, but they're not a function like a planet.
那么虚点呢，它是一个它是那个就是一个敏感点啊，也是一个蛮重要的点，但是它并不是像行星那样代表功能的。
So you meet many people who say, "Well, the nodes. This is your last lifetime. This is where you come from. This is your karmic things of a lifetime," and it may be partly true, but your whole chart is that.
那么有些人会说，就是说你的这个月亮焦点、南北焦代表你的过去式，代表你的前世，然后代表你的今生，代表你的使命，也代表就是说你的这个业力啊。但是我认为说，整个星盘都是我们的业力，都是我们的过去从哪儿来，今生到哪儿去。
Every planet you have is because of where you finished in your last lifetime. How come you got this?
那么你星盘中所有的元素，所有获得的这些能量，都是因为你过去世所做的。
2 most intimate moments in life. The great beginning when you take your first breath, and the great end when you take your last.
那么生命中两个最重要的时刻，第一个时刻就是你第一口呼吸的时刻，然后是你咽下最后一口气的时刻。
When you take your last, the chart for that moment shows what you've completed with your lifetime and where you're going into the next.
那么你咽下最后一口气的时刻呢，就代表说你这一生完成了什么，然后你下一辈子要去开启什么。
So if someone kills himself and you wonder how come, why, you know, sometimes it's a horrible reason why someone kills himself. Sometimes they did everybody a favor.
那么有些人在某一个时刻选择在某一个时刻自杀，可能这是一件非常恐怖的事情，但是有的时候这个事情也是一件可能对他来说是一件好事。
If you know you're getting psychotic or something's wrong and you're going to kill somebody, you're going to hurt somebody, and you take yourself out, it's not a bad thing.
如果你知道自己是患了一种不治之症，或者是可能要强制性的要杀人，那么你把自己解决了自己的生命，可能这是对他人是一件好事。
This is my opinion, but also if you start, you know, you're going to go senile, you're going to lose it, you're going to be, and you're going to be in diapers or whatever, and you say you can't live like that, and you say I'll take myself out. Science and medicine doesn't want it because they make a lot of money from being able to keep you alive. But it's a personal thing how long you're here, when you stay and when you go. But when you're young and you're going out because I have my heart broken, I can't live again, I can't do it, it's naive.
那么就是如果你失去了自己这个生活下去的能力，或者是你可能要整天躺在床上，就是裹着尿布，你觉得这样子生活下去没有尊严，对你来说，你也有权利去选择终结自己的生命。但是年轻的时候你觉得，哎呀，我的心碎了，我要死了，这个是一种非常幼稚的这种看法。
You know Robin Williams, the actor?
大家知道罗宾威廉姆斯吗？这个非常伟大的演员。
He's funny, creative, happy, alive, reached so many people. He finds out he has Alzheimer's, and he doesn't want to be shaking and weak and not able to talk in front of anyone else. It's sad, but you can understand it.
那么就是罗宾威廉姆斯呢，他是这么有趣的，然后他是这么有创造力，这么能表达的，这么让人微笑的一个人。但是呢，因为他当他自己知道他自己有老年痴呆症以后呢，他知道自己不能再做这些事情，他感到非常的悲伤。大家应该都够理解这种选择吧。
There's so many things. It's easy to get heavy and deep in astrology very quickly. But anytime there's a crisis, a person gets raped, there's an accident, someone dies, something happens, or you get a great inspiration, it takes 24 years to resolve it.
那么，在 学上来说呢，我们可以走进一个人的生命，走得很深啊。那么通常来说呢，每个人总是遇到生命最危机的时刻来寻找占星学的帮助的。比如说，某些人受到了强暴，然后呢，某些人发生了一些这个意外。那么这些时候，虽然它发生的是某一个时刻，但是通常要花几十年或者是几年的时间，我们才能修复这些。
Jupiter cycles. First one, why me? Why me? How come this happened? I'm trying to understand what happened. Second one, what does this mean in society for other people, other things? So if you get a vision, you're pumped in the vision for 12 years, then you have to make the vision useful to other people.
那么
You understand things.
那么
Jupiter, yeah, we just talk. I'm going off tangent.
啊
I'm going off on a little bit.
OK， 那么就好像是说木星的周期是12年。那么在我们理解一个事情，如果我们有一个这个梦想的话，可能前12年我们需要去想象这个梦想，那么后12年呢，我们就要去理解说这个梦想对这个社会的意义是什么。
Okay, so we're just gonna go to this. Try. What time is it?
4 to 12.
4 minutes to 12?
Yes.
Well, we'll see. We'll try and get this in a couple minutes. But you enter the points for the houses. You see 2 points for values, 2 points for expression, 5 points performance, 3 points duty, 6th house, 0 points relationship, 0 points 8th house, 0, 9th house, 10th house, 11th, 12th house. So there's a whole lot of houses, nothing's there. It doesn't mean they don't work in your life. It doesn't mean you don't have relationships. It doesn't mean you don't have. It's just there's not planets there. There's not disturbances there.
那么我们可以看到说2分是价值，2分是表达，然后呢
，There's 8-point setting.
8分是在这个下降的这一边。
So twice as many setting.
那么有2倍的这个能量是集中在这个下降的那一边的。
She's a reactor, not an instigator.
他是一个就是回馈者，他并不是一个开始的这样的一个人。
So how does a reactor end a relationship?
那么他对一个关系的这个反应是什么呢？
She waits for the other person to make it.
他等待着其他的人来做这个答案。
Then she can blame him. Then she can do whatever. Like he pushes it too far, then she reacts.
然后他可以去让那个人去推动这个关系，然后他可以去指导这个人，或者指责这个人。
She's too sensitive and think get lost. I don't want to see her. She would have trouble doing that.
Sorry.
She would have trouble saying get lost. I don't want to see you anymore.
那么如果他对某个人说你走开吧，我再也不要看到你，因为他非常敏感。如果他这么做的话，对他来说并不是一件好事。
I don't love you anymore. She won't say that.
我再也不爱你了，他不会这么说。
We can be friends.
我们可以做朋友。
That's the worst thing a woman can say to a man.
这句话是一个女人对一个男人说的最坏的、最糟糕的一句话。
It's a rejection that you have to say okay.
那么这是一个你必须说好可以吧那一种就是拒绝。
So, but when you look at above the horizon and below, 12 points below, nothing above.
那么再看一下，就是说在地平线上和地平线之下，地平线之上是0分，那么地平线之下呢是12分。
So we saw this with the pattern type. It's just reinforcing what we saw with the pattern type, everything below.
那么我们刚刚在看到这个星盘形制的时候，已经看到这一点了，也就是说所有的都是在星盘的一面的，那么所有的这都是在地平线之下的。
This is great. This is the area of subjective depth.
那么这是这个主观的这个深度的这一个面向。
The person has personal, subjective experiences, not social, political. It's more the subjective person, where I am, where I'm going, and if you meet her, she's going to share her personal world.
那么这是他一个个人主观的一个内在的世界，他并不是在这个就是说是那种政客的，或者是说那种阶级性的那种社会型的生活，而是说他个人的生活是怎么样的，他想要去分享他个人的生活。
And probably shares it delightfully. She's probably a good investment for someone to find a girlfriend. Oh, this is going to be fun. This is nice. In a relationship for a boy, he's lucky to get her because she's going to give him lots of attention.
那么对于他来说，就是说，如果他找一个对象的话呢，他对象是非常非常幸运的，因为他会给他对象非常多的关注。
But that means he's going to have to match her energy.
那么
He's going to have to give back as much as she's giving.
那么这意味着他需要这个男人需要给他同样的回馈，就是他给出多少，这个男人也要回馈多少。
That gets tricky because I'll take this. This is fun, but don't ask me to give back.
那么这个就会有一些这个危险在生活中不一定完全遇到这样的人，可能你给出这些，对方没有给到你同样的回馈。
So you see something's looking one way, you think a bit the other way, and then it starts to say, oh, look at that. That's probably, if you have to relate to that, how would that be? And you see the two sides of it.
那么就好像说，你看到这个能量的一面，你会想要看到别人怎么去跟这个能量互动，以及是说这个能量的反面是什么。那么这样的话呢，这些能量的表现就会比较鲜活的呈现在你面前了。
So when you look at angular, succeeding, Kate, 0 angular, 7 succeeding, 5 Kate.
然后我们看到这个，一个是角弓，一个是序弓和中弓。那么0分，角弓是0分，序弓是7分，中弓是5分。
She's stubborn in the signs. She's fixed and stubborn in the houses.
那么他在他的这个星座上也是固定的，也是这个固执的。那么他在这个宫位上也是固定的和固执的。
She's not driving in either of them. She's not pushing in either of them.
那么他在任何一个这个宫位或者是这个相位的宫位和星座里面都并不是一个驱动力的人。
There's a great story about this Zen monastery, and these 3 monks. Or this really was the best Zen monastery, but they were going to build a new super monastery in the mountains. It's going to be the best monastery ever.
那么好像就是有个这个禅宗的故事，有3个这个和尚，他们想要去在山上建立一个最好的这个宫殿，或者是说宗庙。
They all wanted to be the head monk of that new monastery.
他们都想成为这个主持。
But they're Zen monks; they can't show what they want.
那么主持不能让他看到他想要的东西。
So they decided they would sit there, and they would all just sit there until they would know which one's supposed to do it.
那么他们就决定说，我们都坐在那里，告诉对方对方应该做些什么。
One day goes by, nothing happens.
那么第1天过去了，
2 days, 3 days go by, nothing happens.
那么第2天、第3天过去了，也是什么没有发生。
On the 6th day, the cleaner starts coming in, washing and mopping up the floor around them, just cleaning the floor.
那么第6天呢，就是有一个打扫卫生的人来了，他开始在他们脚下扫除一些垃圾。
And the masters were like 90 years old, 95, 97 years old. These were great masters.
那么这些这个圣贤呢，可能都已经90多岁的高龄了。
So the cleaner's going along, all of a sudden he trips and he knocks the bucket over, all over the 97-year-old master.
那么这个打扫卫生人忽然之间，他脚把这个水桶给打翻了，那么水浇满了这个90岁高龄的人身上。
All the dirty, soapy water all over this old master that everyone respected. Everyone started to laugh. It was so funny. They made the janitor the priest of the new temple.
对，那么这个脏水倒满了这个圣贤人的身上，非常非常脏的水全都倒满他的身上，然后大家都在那里大家都笑，就觉得很好笑。
Why did they think of this?
他们把这个清洁人的就是选做了这个住持。
Fixed. We'll sit. We'll wait. We'll see what happens.
为什么会这样发生这个事情呢？因为就是固定的宫位，它会固定的宫位的话，它会不停的坐在那儿，什么也不做。
She would be a great Zen master.
他会成为一个非常好的这个禅宗的领导，禅宗的这个领袖。
Most likely, she sit and wait at home for the husband to get there.
那么他大多数时候都坐在家里等着这个老公回家。
Needing the patience of the Zen master.
那么是需要有这样的一个像禅宗的这个导师这样的这个耐心。
Okay, so that was a funny story, but I just thought of it. It came up, but it was relative to the situation.
那么这是一个有趣的故事，但是它跟这个情境比较有关系。
It helped to understand the chart or the puzzle of having this combination.
那么它帮助我们理解这个拥有这个配置的人的这个能量。
Then you have the self that houses 1, 5, and 9. She has 5 points. That's all the 5th house. The houses of fire or the self of I'm me, my performance, my understanding.
那么在这个代表自我的宫位的话呢，它有5分，这是火象的这个宫位，这就是代表我自己。
But look here, she has 5 earth.
那么它有5分呢，是落于这个土象的宫位的。
My attitudes in the signs, she wasn't practical.
那么从这个星座的这个态度来看呢，就是他并不是一个实际的人。
But in circumstances, in the houses, she's very practical.
那么在这个情境中呢，也就是在这个环境中，在这个工会的环境中，他是非常实际的一个人。
This means she's stubborn, but she's not going to lose money.
那么这代表说他非常固执，但并不代表他会失去金钱。
She has a very practical sense of concern. What she's concerned about is very practical.
那么他关注的东西都是非常现实的东西。
And enthusiastic about fire.
然后呢，他也非常有热情、激情，因为都是火象的。
So fire and earth is an interesting combination.
那么火和土是非常有趣的组合。
But relationships, communicating, and trying to get rewards, they're not the strong suit. It's not about what do I get. It's not about what am I thinking. It's about this is nice.
那么这并不是代表说关系或者是
It's not about relationships. 2 points. It's not about getting rewards or what the guy's going to give me. It's about this is nice. No.
这并不是他并不是好像关注于关系，或者是说我能够获得什么，而是说他只是觉得这是好的，这是开心的。
So if someone has a child with this, she'll be practical with the kid, and she'll have fun taking care of the practical things.
那么如果他有个小孩的话，他会非常开心，就是照料那些非常实际的面向。
Just don't ask you to drive and go to job and then come back and take care of it. If you go take care of it, I'll stay at home and take care of it.
那么只是不要让他去早上开始匆忙的上班，然后下午回家，然后再照顾小孩。他喜欢在家照顾小孩。
Okay, so we've gone through all the points, but sometimes sometimes they'll be saying the same things, sometimes there'll be a contradiction.
那么我们已经过了所有的这些分数。那么有的时候呢，这些分数呢，它会代表是同样的能量；那有的时候呢，它会代表说相互矛盾的一些信息出来了。
Between attitudes and circumstances.
那么从我们对事物的态度和我们面对的这些境况呢，它会有一些矛盾。
So don't just that's real. Allow it to be. Don't expect the science housing just be the same. Don't. A lot of people do research. We just get all the numbers and look at all the numbers. But if they don't know what the categories mean, the numbers are useless.
那么，不要担心他们能量是不同的，让他们成为他们真实的样子，他们实际上就是这样的。所以就是很多人做分析的时候呢，他们只关注于数字，但是他们不知道这些数字都是相关于落于哪些领域的。所以我们需要去分清这个他们的矛盾，或者他们是有相应的，他们是和谐的。
So if you go over your basics and you understand the elements better. You say, oh, that's fire. Oh, this is water. And every time you meet a different teacher, you're learning a little bit more about this element, that element. Then you go back and this means something more.
那么，如果大家能把这些基础学好的话，因为每个老师他可能会教授这些，比如说火元素啊、风元素啊，都有不同的信息。那么，当大家把自己的这些知识呢，更丰富的时候呢，我们就会更鲜活的去了解这些能量了。
There is a nice book on the aspects by Stephen Arroyo.
那么 Stephen Arroyo 写过一本非常好的关于相位的书。
It's called Astrology, Psychology, and the Four Elements.
那么它的这个书名呢叫做这个占星，还有心理学和生命四元素。
Now, with books on astrology, everybody's got pieces. All of it isn't correct. All of it's nobody has everything all correct, but there's some very good, useful insights by reading it.
那么每个人都对于占星，他有某一些他的这些专长，或者说带有他的一些特色。那么并不是每个人都把占星所有的东西都了解或者学会的。
Okay, so we'll stop here for lunch, and we'll come back, and we've got to work on the planets and interpreting the planets, signs, houses, aspects.
那我们今天上午就学到这里，然后呢下午我们会开始学行星，然后呢它的星座、宫位、相位等等，再去解读这个星盘。谢谢。